as the other account said, oh, wait a second. As it turns out, Ethan would make it very clear in this post he shared. That is her account, and also they have a very interesting way of looking at a situation where Taylor, the supposed person who done so much and had Ethan begging for their help, it was a day-long conversation.
Let's see. The reason that we ever got in touch is because Taylor Lorenz 3.0, she has a snark meme page that posted such an obscenely mean, psychotic message about me. We had to actually check with people that knew her firsthand to see if it was actually her that left the message. Let me read it to you. This was on a post about a meme about me being obsessed with his son. She said, he needs to log off. Every influencer has a snark page, and if he wants it taken down, he needs to go through legal channels, not publicly bait them. Normally I'd have sympathy, but Ethan has spent the last year absolutely terrorizing and stalking anyone obsessed with his son while spouting Zionist propaganda. He needs to log off for a long time and get his head straight. Here's the best part, guys. And clean up his house so his kids aren't crawling around in dog feces. Here's the best part, guys. This was after CPS was called. Can you imagine that, right, guys? And then when she finds out that we're trying to figure out if it was her or not, she gets in touch with Hila through a fan and pretty much begs to help us. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry about the CPS comment. You know, I didn't mean it. Let me help you with Reddit. I know people there. Okay, sure. She reached out to Reddit. It amounts to nothing. And we talked, I don't know, we talked for like a day once, and she tried to, we've been begging you for help. Are you actually fucking out of your mind? Are you actually fucking out of your mind? Taylor, listen. And I don't know where you learned in journalism school, but you're supposed to tell the truth, right? Like that's like kind of the most important part of the job. So as a chronic and potentially pathological liar, as a sycophantic Hassan dick riding loser, I want to wish you all the best and tell you, assure you that I will no longer be begging you for help with Reddit or anything. And I'm so glad you gave me the opportunity to talk about this nice message you left here, by the way. And clean up his house so his kids aren't crawling around in dog feces after CPS visited us. What a kind person. Thanks for watching, Taylor. Have a great night.
Well, shocker, as you might imagine, she was not nothing but respectful to Ethan and his family. And no, he was not on his knees begging for this journalist's help. It was a small conversation that ultimately ended with Taylor saying, I can't really help you. And that's it. But she's out here trying to make herself out to be a martyr that did so much for them when they were so desperate for her help. And of course, constantly blasting this narrative that he's unwell. Even in some of the DMs, by the way, that Ethan shared, Taylor was reaching out to Hila and saying, you know, Ethan's going through this mental health crisis. I hope he's okay. He's clearly unwell, blah, blah, blah. Doing all this, trying to make him look like he's crazy. And of course, by the way, this was her response on Twitter, where down here, she admits to this conversation on Instagram and says, Ethan is in pain and he's extremely upset that I once left a single reply to someone 50 comments down on a meme page post months ago. She lied. She lied in the private messages. She lied in her explanation publicly until the receipts were shown, and now she's admitting she was the person running this account that was saying all these negative things, including saying his kids were rolling around in feces. This person tried very hard to set up Ethan as this unhinged maniac that no one should trust and that he needs to log off. But in reality, this person's trying to gaslight everyone while they're scrolling through hate accounts of Ethan 50 comments deep just to leave how they truly feel. And then they turn around and lie about everything, and they still want to seem like they're the ones who are the good guys who just care about Ethan, his family, and their health, including Ethan's mental health. When in reality, these people are doing the exact opposite. They're attacking it, they're attacking his family, and they're trying to act like they're the good ones while doing it. And look at her response. to getting absolutely destroyed in the situation. One funny thing is that when a big YouTuber slash influencer decides to go on a crusade against me, I end up gaining lots of followers. No, you don't. No one cares. Nobody watching this is gonna go, wow, Taylor Lorenz? Huh. Yeah, I really want to follow whatever she does, because no one really knows what they do, and no one watching this is probably going to care what a journalist has to say about anything, especially when they're a documented liar who's going after someone in their family because they seem like they're the ones who are terminally online. The way they like to describe themselves, people like Ethan Klein. But anyways, this whole situation stemming from a Twitch ban is pretty crazy, but not unexpected among Hassan Piker and his sycophants online. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
Of this skill could be gotten later, which would further decrease the requirements. Could he get a class with the advanced version of it in the future was the big question. Maybe with this skill. Combat with runic weapons could be somehow manageable. Roland wanted to test this theory out in the future as he had no way of doing it now. He finally got out of his room to get something to eat. He wanted to meet up with the girls and discuss a couple of things. He headed to the Adventurer Guild and could see people were walking out to open their shops. He became slightly nostalgic. He was already over 5 years in this world, but this was the first place that he actually enjoyed living in. He found himself a quirky party that was quite dependable. They even rescued his behind from getting murdered in broad daylight. He spent quite the interesting half a year in this place. He decided to change locations and wanted to do it fast. He also felt bad about breaking the party up when he left. The girls would need to find reliable backline support like him. There weren't really many mages in this line of work at the lower levels. Most mages were put into academies that left them as tier 2 mages. They could just level up by researching more spells and not killing monsters. This was also why Roland was able to reach L25 of his mage class so soon. Besides killing goblins, he was leveling up his spells. The more he used them, the faster they leveled up. Even though he didn't need to do it while in combat, it did hasten the leveling process. Still, most people didn't want their kids leveling up in dungeons, so spending some years in a magic academy till they got the hang of casting was a preferred option. Though this only concerned people that could actually afford to pay for the exorbitant prices of those prestigious academies. Roland went past the tavern that he had his first drunk stupor with his party members. It was called the Iron Flagon. That was served there was all hard liquor. Anything below 20% was frowned upon. He recalled a couple of instances of the girls from his party getting drunk in there. The quiet wolf girl always got chatty on those occasions, which made him chuckle. He thought back to his family. He hadn't heard a word from them during the time he was here. He also didn't write any letters to any of them. He once considered writing some to Martha, but now he was planning on going into hiding. This meant that he needed to lay low and not spread any information about his whereabouts. He finally arrived at the Adventurer Guild. It was the place that he always met with the girls. He pushed the door open and was greeted by a smell of sweat. Many adventurers were already shuffling back and forth inside. The people in this world woke up early as to not waste the light of day. "Hey, Roland." "Good morning." Roland spotted Rebecca at the usual spot waving at him. She had quite a big smile on her face, as if something good had happened. This made Roland think that she might have fetched a good price for that man's armor. He walked towards his party. Sahilda had a coin purse in her hands and was looking at it while Reyna the wolf girl was dozing off at her seat. The girl was always bad at getting up in the morning. Some drool was even dripping from her mouth as she concentrated on not hitting the table with her face. "Good morning. You're awfully chipper today. A good deal at the shop?" Roland sat down on his chair that creaked. The moment he asked, Rebecca waved him over. He raised his eyebrow but leaned forward. She apparently wanted to whisper her answer into his ear. "Yeah, that guy was loaded. We found some small gold coins in his spatial bag along with some other things. Reyna already swiped some throwing daggers for herself. His gear also fetched a nice price." Roland nodded. Apparently with the sold equipment, the girls managed to get over 20 small gold coins. He already had 15 of those in the dimensional bag beforehand, after selling his light armor, some potions, and other weapons. The girls received 5 more small gold coins. Roland took a second to digest this information. For someone just trailing him, he was carrying a lot of cash. Was this a normal amount of gold someone at tier 2 had, or was it really a payment for taking him out? Did he perhaps have any letters in his bag? Ones with a red seal, for instance? Rebecca shook her head and shrugged. No, he only had the usual stuff. Roland narrowed his eyes as this made it sound like this wasn't the first time that these girls had done someone in. He was hoping of finding more clues, but it made sense that there were no letters. Even if the man received such a thing, he would probably burn it to get rid of the evidence. He also could have met face to face with his contractor. His head was apparently worth more than 1 gold coin, which he wasn't sure was that flattering. While he was thinking, he noticed that his party leader's eyes were sparkling. "You sure are happy there? Like money that much?" "Right, I do," she replied loudly before lowering her voice and nodding. She didn't really want the other adventurers to know that they had some coins to spare, as these were dangerous times they lived in. It wouldn't be surprising if you got backstabbed during a dungeon expedition and robbed by other adventurers. There were even some of those types that actually specialized in robbing others during dungeon expeditions. But anyway, what are we going to do now? Think we should leave this city for now. Rebecca sat down in her chair and looked at the others with a slight frown on her face. Roland kind of knew what this was about as he nodded. "Sorry, didn't think I'd get you involved in something like this. It's not your fault. You are different than those other nobles." Sahilder smacked the table that rattled with force. The drowsy Reyna fell forward and got her face smacked, which finally woke her up. "How about we take one of those guard missions to another city? We won't have to pay the traveling costs." Rebecca continued with her proposal, while Roland replied with his own plans in mind. "Well, I wanted to tell you something about that. I want to leave the city, but alone. I was thinking about quitting as an adventurer for now at least. But I think that you 3 should leave the city. I think your involvement with me might bring trouble your way." Roland wasn't sure what information the man had reported to the Baron or to the person that tried to kill him. The looks of the 3 female members from his party could be known, and they could be implicated in the future. He of course didn't want that to happen, but only saw distancing himself from them as an option. "You think we are afraid of some trouble?" Sahilder smacked the table again while looking angrily at Roland. "Apparently not. Don't worry about us, Roland. But you seem to have already made up your mind about this." Rebecca chimed in while looking at the close to 11-year-old Roland. The boy nodded as he wanted to leave this city and move on. He already had his class, and now needed a place to train his crafting class. "Yes, I did. I'm actually not really fit to be a mage, so I've decided on choosing one of the crafting classes." The girls were surprised by this reveal. From their point of view, the youth was quite talented as a mage. Even though he only knew the basic spells, they packed quite a punch. If he managed to reach a tier 2 mage, he would be a force to be reckoned with. "Eh? But you were clearly suited to be a mage," Rebecca asked while confused. "Okay, let me explain. It's like this." He made a short summary about him having some 1 in a million constitution and having 0 elemental affinities to get him any of the basic mage classes. He then explained about runes, and that he would be going for a smithing class that would somehow let him profit from his large mana pool. So that's how it is. Reyna just kept nodding during the explanation. Rebecca did the same, while Sahilder's head started exuding smoke when he started talking about runes and how they fit into his plan. "I got it. Sounds reasonable." Rebecca shrugged without having much to add to this explanation. Not like she could convince this boy at this point. She also felt that Roland was free to choose his future. "So, when will you be leaving?" I'd like to today or tomorrow. Don't really want to remain here for too long after what happened yesterday." "I see. You probably won't tell us where you are heading." Roland just nodded while frowning. It wasn't like he didn't trust them with keeping secrets, but in this world, there were ways of getting information out of people even if they didn't want to talk. Mostly with the help of special spells or potions that made people sing. The girls understood this, so they didn't make much of a fuss. We can always meet up in the future. You never know. When you are famous adventurers, I'll be sure to make you some runic weapons." Roland noticed that the atmosphere around the table got strange. Even the wolf girl was looking sad. He didn't think that they would be saddened this much by him leaving. "HM, you sure you want to make a promise like that? I want at least a greater rune in my weapon," said Rebecca while Sahilder replied afterward. "I want some armor. Legendary runic daggers," was what Reyna mumbled under her nose while staring at Roland with anticipation. Don't go overboard. I don't even know how long it will take till I can make lesser runic weapons." The 3 girls grinned at him and started listing him the types of weapons and armor they wanted him to make. "While we are on the subject of runes, Sahilder, could you lend me that hammer for a couple of hours?" Roland looked at the muscular girl with a glint in his eyes. He just had to get that hammer before he left. After some convincing and a lot of yanking with the help of Rebecca and Reyna, they managed to peel the hammer off of Sahildr. Roland could barely hold this weapon. Swinging it was out of the question. "I just need it for my research. I won't damage it. I promise." All of you magic types say that before something goes wrong. Apparently Sahildr was still hesitant about giving him her warhammer for inspection. He wasn't sure what it was about, and he didn't have enough time to hear the whole story. "Fine, you can have it, but I'm staying in the room with you." Roland just shrugged as he didn't care. This was even better as he didn't need to carry the heavy thing all the way to his in-room. The two other girls didn't join them, finding it too boring to watch Roland play around with runes. "I'll go check out if there are any worthwhile missions on the notice board. We can meet up at the tavern later." Rebecca and Reyna left to go prepare for their own journey away. They had also decided to go somewhere else. This wasn't the only town with a dungeon close to it. The next couple of hours weren't all that exciting. Roland had Sahildr place the hammer in his room on the floor, afraid that if he placed it on his flimsy table, it would give out under the weight. He then took out a sheet of paper and got to copying. He wasn't using his scribing skill. He just redrew the runes diagram with the help of the overlay that his debugging skill gave him. He took his time as he didn't want to mistakenly mess up this new schematic. After the first 30 minutes passed, he heard a big thud behind him. It was his big, muscly friend dozing off on his bed. He sniggered at her and then went back to work. He smiled slightly after hearing the system awarding him the experience points. He even managed to upgrade his drawing skill to the next level. He used to have the basic drawing skill, but now it finally broke through. The progress of this skill had stopped at the L9, just like all the other basic ones. Now further upgrading was possible. This made him think that it was caused by him receiving the Runic Mana Scribe class. He figured that the diagrams were probably considered drawings by this leveling system. Previously, he leveled this skill by sketching things. Also, painting was another skill altogether. He also managed to recreate the diagram fully, earning another highest graded rune. From what Roland knew, the lesser runes were the worst ones on the market. After them came the common runes, then followed by greater runes, grand runes, and at the very top the legendary runes. The last ones were mostly only mentioned in fables and not much was known about them. This wasn't all, as the runes went into even more subcategories. In sequence, they were lowest, low, intermediate, high, and highest. A lesser rune with the highest subgrade was comparable to a common rune with the lowest subgrade. But this was something that Roland would figure out at a later date. He rolled up the schematic that he just made and placed it together with the previous one he created. He now had two lesser rune schematics with no flaws. He gave out a sigh while thinking, could he scribe these runes on scrolls and sell them to people? He didn't think the impact rune and detonation runes worked well by themselves. They only showed their true colors when attached to weapons. The impact rune either increased the mass of the weapon it was on or used gravity. He wasn't sure. He had asked Sahildr about her hammer. She told him that the heavy hammer part increased in weight the moment she activated the rune. She needed to time her attacks well to make use of it, but when she did, she could deliver devastating blows with it. The detonation rune created a small controlled explosion on the tip of a weapon. Unless you managed to poke someone with it, it wasn't that useful. If he scribed it onto a scroll, it would only cause a small explosion, while the impact rune might make the scroll just heavier. This kind of showed him the limitations of some of the runes. The fire orb rune was the only one he could see working as a spell scroll. He only needed to get it to target enemies. Maybe if he combined it with the detonation rune, he could turn it into some kind of targeted grenade spell. Come to think of it, I need to make a schematic for that fire orb room too. While speaking out loud, he heard a strange sound. HRRRRR. He turned his head towards the loud noise only to see his muscle friend snoring on his bed. She was just sprawled out with her hands and legs in an X shape. He could hear her snoring loudly while scratching her belly, which made him squint his eyes. All right, she was here. Hey, I'm done. You can take your hammer now. The large Goliath female just snored some more and rolled onto the other side. There wasn't an ounce of femininity in this tanky girl. Roland scratched his forehead before placing both his hands to his mouth, as if he was going to shout. Hey, is that free wine over there? You can drink all you want. No way. He made sure to yell towards her direction, and he almost instantly got a reaction. She raised her head up high, her eyes opening wide and drool running down her mouth. Free wine? She was still a bit drowsy, so her words didn't come out right, but instead of wine, she saw her party member snorting at her while laughing. Heh, finally you're up. You can take your hammer now. Huh? No wine? It took a few seconds for Sahilda to realize that she was made a fool of. Her eyes narrowed and she moved forward with haste, putting Roland into a headlock while rubbing his head with her knuckles. Why you little? Roland didn't have time to react, and not like he was scared. He got his scalp rubbed and he pleaded for mercy. Soon enough, he was free to go, his hair all ruffled up. Sahilda took her hammer back and examined to see if it was working right. Roland took a glance while thinking back to moments earlier. Was I always this childish? He contemplated. He could have just woken the girl up normally, but for some reason, he had the urge to plug her nose or even splash water on her face as a prank. The cogs in his brain started to turn. He had a few theories to go with. The scariest one of them all was that he had fused his psyche together with the boy that was once the true Roland. He thought back to the past. He did enjoy climbing those trees at the Arden estate, though he never considered the kids there to be his peers. Before he could have a mental breakdown about himself, he was brought back to reality by Sahilda. Hey, you okay there, Roland? You look kind of pale. Did I rub that big melon of yours too hard? He momentarily tossed his identity conundrum to the back of his head while frowning at Sahilda. I'm fine. I bet Rebecca is waiting for us at the Adventurers Guild. We should go. Roland still had some of his stuff in this room. He didn't pack up just yet. He wanted to do it after having said his goodbyes with the silly trio. They might have not been around each other for that long, but they have managed to form a bond. He couldn't actually remember others being so nice to him even back in his old life.
The live concert is complete.
I'll be sure to you. Now, noble lord, let us depart to the Adventurers Guild. She did some misaligned bow, and then opened the door in front of Roland. She stood there like a knight that was holding the way open for their noble lady. Please don't call me that. People will think that it's actually true. The two finally left. Roland was going to use the train. He had come to this city for his getaway. It didn't have a direct route to Edelgard, but it was a lot faster than going by horse carriage. It took them 10 or so minutes to get back. Rebecca and Raina were already sitting at the usual table with a piece of paper in hand. So you two lovebirds finished? Rebecca called out while whistling at Roland and Sahilda. The Goliath lady looked ticked off by that remark. What would I do with a little brat like that? He doesn't even have hair growing down there. Oh, so you've seen it? Rebecca stuck out her tongue while Sahilda got increasingly mad. Quiet down, you two. The idiots in this guild will misunderstand. Roland responded while covering his face with a hood. The other adventurers in the guild just laughed from the side while also whistling. Hey, it's little Goblin Slayer Emperor and his harem. They are being even more intimate than usual. After garnering some notoriety, he had gained another title for being the only man in a mostly female party. We should ask the Squirt Emperor about some tips, boys. The older adventurers called out from the side while sniggering at the party of 3 teenage girls. The girls were around the age of 16 or 17, and the youth that was with them was believed to be 12. The Goliath girl turned around while shaking her fist at some of the men. They in turn just laughed more while backing off, not wanting to get smacked in the face. After successfully scaring off the other adventurers, she sat down at the table while grumbling, her hammer leaning against her chair. So, you got it? Rebecca nodded while bringing out a piece of paper. It was a job offering for steel and silver ranked adventurers. It was in type of mission. They were going to be the bodyguards for a large caravan of merchants. This was quite a common type of job listing and was mostly safe as bandits would rarely attack such large convoys. Ah, one more thing, Roland, you have your second class now, right? You should go update your adventurer card. Rebecca mentioned while Roland nodded. The requirements to go from bronze to a steel adventurer was getting a second tier 1 class and having finished some missions. Roland and his party were frequent visitors to the dungeon, and he had gone through the minimum trial period of half a year, so he was now eligible for it. Okay, I'll be right back. This shouldn't take long. You three should probably discuss a couple of things. He turned around and left. He went over to the same lady that had given him his first adventurer card. Hey there, Miss Celica. I've obtained my second class. He gave a quick explanation, and the lady nodded. She took the same identification orb out as before to get it checked. He didn't like that they were scanning his status, but not like he could do much about it. There were enough benefits to working as an adventurer to let them got through with the examinations. The card update didn't take that long as they just needed to change it from bronze to steel. Here you go, have a nice day. The lady bowed slightly while showing him away. There were many other people waiting in lines, and there was more work to be done. So, how does it feel to move up in the world? It's just a notch up from bronze. You know well that unless you get to silver, you won't really be taken seriously. Roland replied to Rebecca's remark after he returned to the table. He also noticed that there was a bag laying on the table right next to where his sitting spot was. Isn't this your storage bag? It is. You'll find some coin in there to get you started. Think of it as a little party gift from us. We did agree on an equal split. He took the bag and glanced at it. He clearly wanted to take it, but while reaching out, he stopped his hand. What? Why are you hesitating? Did you forget that we got that other bag from that guy? It's twice the size of this one. You can take it. Yeah, just take it. Take the three called out while he nodded and grabbed the bag. He strapped it to his side while hiding it under his robe. He would peek inside of it when he was alone. Thanks. He rubbed his neck, feeling a bit uncomfortable about the generosity of his party members. He had thought that having gotten rescued by them was enough. It didn't feel right to ask about more gold or items while splitting. The girl smiled after seeing the youth act all shy. So when will you be leaving? They asked him. Probably today. I think my ride leaves for the next city tonight. He would be going far away. There would be a lot of stops, and he would have to go to switch between different magic trains on the way to reach his destination. That's so. Want us to send you off? You don't have to. An awkward conversation ensued while the group of four stood up and left the Adventurers Guild. The girls would be heading to a new city and be trying to get themselves a new fourth party member there. They were already close to maxing out their second Tier 1 class and would probably be reaching a Tier 2 class in the foreseen future. It didn't take long for Roland to get his belongings from the inn. With the storage bag carrying around all of his items would be quite easy. Back outside, the group huddled closer. Roland wasn't really thinking about them following him all the way to the train station, so this would be as far as this would go. So, this is it. Don't forget about us. And remember you promised to make us those weapons and armors. Rebecca replied happily while holding both her hands to her hips. Sahilda delivered a smack to his back that made him almost fall as she always did. You take care of yourself, oh mighty boy. Take care. Raina replied in a monotone voice while twiddling her thumbs. I will, and don't worry, I'll probably be stuck in a blacksmith shop for quite some time. The time finally came and he turned around. He wasn't good with things like this, and he wasn't sure if he would be able to see these three oddballs in the foreseen future. He would be sure to remember them as the time spent in the city was something that he cherished. He thought that this was for the best. He didn't want to involve the girls in his family problems. The three girls remained in place while waving, calling out to him once in a while, which made Roland wave with his hand one last time without turning around. He finally made a turn, leaving the view of the three that were watching him from afar. So he is gone, huh? Yeah. Sahilda asked while Rebecca replied, her eyes getting suspiciously moist. You're never good with things like this. At least he didn't have to see that ugly face of yours covered in snot. Unbeknownst to Roland, his party members weren't taking the separation all that well. Sahilda's face contorted into quite the mess and tears were running down her cheeks, snot all over. She started sobbing uncontrollably, which made the other two follow suit. Tommy, let us go to the tavern. Stop crying, you're making the people uncomfortable. Who's crying? I'm not crying. Some people could see a Goliath female with her head down and two other girls were patting her back. They looked to be saddened while walking into the city. The reason for their distress was close to reaching the train station that would take them on a trip to the large kingdom. The journey would take at least a week as he needed to change stations multiple times. Some of them would even require him to use regular carriages. Well, farewell, my friends. It was fun while it lasted. He sat down at the train station and waited. An old part of his life was coming to an end. What waited for him next was unknown. He was nervous to a certain extent, but also excited. Nervous about the unknown. Excited about the possibilities of his future life that was ready to begin. What do you mean he's gone? A loud booming voice was heard, followed by a sound of shattering furniture. A chair was thrown at a wall and it fractured into many pieces on impact. This all was happening inside a large room that looked to be some kind of noble house. There were various paintings and bookshelves in this room, along with a big crest that had Arden written underneath. "Please, my lord, calm down." Adam the butler used a handkerchief to wipe some sweat from his brow. He had just arrived at the Baron's office with bad news. His son was missing. The man responsible for keeping watch over him was nowhere to be found, and just as the boy was gone. The man didn't send in a weekly report as usual, and by the time they sent someone else to check, there was no Roland to be found. The report said that the adventurer party that he was traveling with wasn't in the city of Palm either. They might have just left the city together with the young master. Wentworth Arden, Roland's father, stood there behind his desk. In a fit of rage, he had tossed his chair at the wall, missing the butler but a hair. "Get out and send more people, and bring me a new chair." The butler just bowed while getting out of the room with haste. The Baron moved over to the couch that was to the side and grabbed himself a bottle of schnapps to soothe his nerves. He looked to be quite angry while he drank. He had seen the whole report. The man that was supposed to keep watch was gone. There were a couple of possibilities, some better than the others. The possibility of the boy just going to a different city was there, but the disappearance of one of his men was strange. The Baron smelled some foul play, and he was angry that the possibility of his son's death was out there. Did he escape? The man spoke out before taking a big gulp straight from the bottle while contemplating. He knew well that finding his son would be difficult if he decided to run away. He didn't have enough pull to get the Adventurers Guild to give out his location. Only large ducal houses or the king could achieve such thing. The adventurer guilds around the kingdom were very adamant with their rules. They also had some powerful adventurers that the kingdom wouldn't be willing to go against if push came to shove. Or did he perish? This was the other option on the table, one that he didn't want to believe in. He shook his head while taking a swig from the bottle again. His chair was already on the way, and he needed to get back to work. Somewhere far away, the estranged son in question was sitting in a large moving train. He was looking at the passing scenery with boredom. He had been on the road for a week already. There was no TV or internet here, so he was left with staring at the scenery or reading books. He had already gone through the storage bag that his previous party members gave him. He wanted to go back and throw it at their faces as they left 10 small gold coins inside. This was more than he expected. 5 small gold was the largest sum he was willing to take from the 20 that the girls had. He couldn't do his rune scribing as he didn't have any materials. Neither would it look good to just do it out in the open in a moving train. He had no books to study up either, nor was he feeling sleepy, and that was probably due to his sleep-resistant skill. This long journey had taken over a whole week, but now it was close to being over. He had seen the scenery change quite a bit through his travels. The Cauldrous Kingdom's climate wasn't too warm or too cold. You could see many grass fields and forest areas scattered throughout the land. The more you went in, the more the climate changed. Where he was going, it looked to be colder, more of autumn-like weather. He was also traveling into lands with a higher altitude as many rocky structures appeared. While on the last stretch of his travels, he saw the scenery turn rocky and they were going into a mountain range. There was a reason why this city was known for having blacksmiths. Now arriving at Edelgard, please take all of your belongings. While going out, the train drove up at the last stretch. The city of Edelgard was built into a large mountain. You could even see some mine shafts sprinkled in the background and smoke coming out of them. He could see this while the train moved through a large bridge that connected 2 city parts. Under it was quite the large gorge. A fall from here would spell certain death. This city made him think about dwarves from some of the fantasy books he used to read back on Earth. In them, it was always stated that this race liked to build their cities on or in mountains. Some even had ones placed deep underground. He was finally here. He didn't need to carry his luggage thanks to his spatial bag this time around. I have arrived. He walked out half nervous and half excited. This was a new place filled with opportunities that could come to fruition. This was also a place filled with uncertainty, which made his belly feel like he had a swarm of butterflies in it. There was no one to greet him here or help him out. He was truly alone. He wasn't lonely though, as he was used to working solo. The short time he spent with those 3 girls was the exception to the rule. Ding-dot-ding-dot-ding, he heard the sound of a large bell. He turned to it and saw 2 people in robes. The robes were white, but due to time they now looked gray. There were some yellow patterns here and there, but the most glaring thing was the large yellow sun symbol on their backs. These strange robe-wearing people were close to the exit, so he needed to move there. Roland already had an idea of who these 2 people were. Praise the sun, traveler. May the goddess Solaria bless you on your travels. Would you like to join us for prayer? The person in the robe called out while waving the bell around. The voice was an older man. Next to him stood a second person that was smaller and of the female gender. She was holding a large plate in both her hands and holding it out as if asking for something. Roland knew about the identity of these people. They belonged to the Church of the Sun. They worshipped the goddess Solaria. From his more modern point of view, he found people like this a bit strange. Nevertheless, people from this church were granted the acolyte class that could then evolve into the cleric. You could even become a paladin. A sound of metal dropping on a plate was heard as Roland dropped some copper coins on the collection plate. Even though he never liked churches, in this world they were in a strong position. The class-changing stones that were a necessity were actually produced by these people. No one knew exactly how it happened. The churches only revealed that it was all thanks to the power of their god. The stones were rumored to be a gift from the gods that allowed people to change classes and grow in power. This church wasn't the only one that was able to produce this commodity, thanks to that the prices didn't go that overboard even though the stones weren't that cheap. Praise the sun. Roland nodded while passing the two priests that saw their next target behind him. He finally left the train station and went outside. He could see a lot of smoke coming out of the chimneys from this city. Most of the houses were made from rock or bricks. It was hard to spot any wooden structures here as he passed. His first destination was the Adventurers Guild. Even though there was no dungeon located next to this city, it still operated in it as in the others. The adventurers here were mostly used as hired muscle, and they worked as bouncers, guards, and even cleared out some monsters that showed up from time to time. Even without dungeons, monsters existed in the wild, so there was always some work to be done. He asked for directions and headed out. He followed a dark, rocky road that would lead him to the guild. While walking, he took in the sights. The first thing he noticed was a large number of dwarves. There were also another interesting race that he didn't see before, gnomes. From what he knew, this race was very creative and intelligent, which made them good crafters by default. In contrast to dwarves that liked to work with heavy weapons and armor, the gnomes prided themselves in making more intricate machinery. The magical trains that he was using were apparently invented by the gnome tinkerers. They also worked as normal craftsmen, specializing in smaller items like trinkets and magical accessories. Roland needed to find a new base of operations. From what he could tell, he needed to get himself a job at one of the scribing shops. Making magical scrolls was also a business, and many adventurers used these one-time magical items for various occasions. While going through the robust-looking city, he finally arrived at the Adventurer Guild. The guild was slightly different than the previous one, but it had a similar layout with the same job listing notice board. The people inside didn't care much about the small-robed figure that entered. His short height wouldn't really raise any eyebrows as there were many gnomes and dwarves sprinkled all over the place. He got himself a city map which he had to pay, but thanks to his Steel Adventurer ranking, he got a small 5% discount. It wasn't much, but saving even a copper coin was a win in Roland's eyes. He looked at this map first. He needed lodging, and there were some inns and taverns that he could stay nearby. He preferred the former as they didn't smell like all the time and weren't as loud all into the night. He had walked off the stiffness after leaving the train, and it was getting late, so he decided to visit one of the inns that were in his price range. He didn't really care about the quality of the bed. He could mostly sleep anywhere, even on the floor. Even though he had a lot of coins on him, he didn't want to waste them on lavish living as he didn't know how much money he would be able to earn here. Roland headed to the closest inn that was marked for bronze and steel adventurers. He was lucky back in Carwin, so he thought that he might be lucky this time around as well. The Singing Crow Inn. Roland looked at the wiggly sign that was getting pushed by the wind. The inn was quite large and had 4 levels to it. He pushed the creaky doors open and was greeted by a nice smell. Inside, he saw a couple of patrons sitting on some wooden benches. They were eating food and drinking some beverages, probably alcoholic ones. While distracted, he moved forward, looking for some kind of counter with the bartender or someone that looked like an owner. While going through the crowd of people, he felt someone bumping into him. "Hey, watch out where you are going." He was still wearing his robe, and his face was slightly covered, so not everyone would notice that he was just an 11-year-old youth. Roland raised a brow as the person that shouted out had quite the high-pitched voice. He looked down and saw someone smaller than him with pointy ears. "Oh, sorry about that, didn't see you there." The person that he was looking at a more prolonged face, making her look more like an elf than a human. Besides the long ears, her eyebrows were quite long and she had noticeable high cheekbones. This was apparently a gnome girl of unknown age. "You got eyes. Use them." Hey Helsie, stop flirting with the customers and go back to work. Someone called out from the back, which made the small gnome girl grit her teeth before moving away. She was carrying a plate with unwashed dishes that looked oversized in her small hands. Roland shrugged and moved over to the bar counter, where he requested a room to stay in. The pricing was a bit higher here than at his first inn, but he attributed it to this being a larger city in which people probably earn more. The door creaked open, and he was greeted to a small room with one bed and a table with one chair next to it. These items were made from wood in contrast to all the stone and brick buildings. He tested out the mattress that was again just some straw stuck into some cloth. He smirked to himself while thinking that he was already used to bad sleeping conditions like these. He sat down on the chair and started unpacking his belongings. He placed his quill along with some other materials for drawings on the table. He could finally draw the schematics for that lesser fire orb rune. It took him an hour to finish up with this schematic. He was getting better at redrawing those diagrams. This rune was also something he drew from his memory and not while looking at a weapon with his debugging skill. He memorized it during his class trial and was even able to achieve the highest subgrade. He rubbed his eye with his knuckles while feeling tired. The bumpy train ride and lack of sleep were slowly getting to him. He placed the sheet of paper next to the other two schematics while looking down. In his mind, he felt like he was cheating the system. He could just draw from memory and get large amounts of experience from it. He would need to spend a few days fighting monsters to get the same number of XP as he did now. Roland looked at each schematic. He wanted to abuse this leveling shortcut to its fullest. To maximize on it, he needed more runes to work with, but he also was thinking about other possibilities. Namely, creating his own diagrams while analyzing the old ones he had. He nodded to himself while rubbing his chin. He needed to slowly analyze these three schematics. He needed to find similarities in them. If he could figure out what these three runes had in common, he might be able to find a pattern. He would then be able to perhaps create his own custom runes. From what he was able to ascertain, all of these runes possess traces. These magical pathways carry the mana that a user inserted into the rune to create an effect. From his perspective, the whole rune was some sort of closed circuit that when given energy activated the given spell effect it was programmed for. There were several components scattered over these schematics buried deeply into the runic symbols. He had seen them during his trial while scribing the fire orb rune. He had followed the book's instruction to recreate them, but he didn't fully understand their purpose. He was like an assembly line worker that assembled an item without knowing the intricacies of the parts he was working with. He tickled his nose with his quill while thinking that he wouldn't figure out much from the schematics about those components. He would actually need to experiment with the parts themselves while striving to actually get anywhere. The thing he could do was try to relocate these unknown elements on the sheet of paper and see if his debugging skill reacts in any way. Roland sighed out loud as he already needed to spend at least an hour redrawing the diagrams. Now he needed to do it while adding random parts, and he had no way of copy-pasting as you would in a computer program. He also had the idea of cutting out parts he drew on paper. He would then try relocating them over completed schematics while replacing the other components. He tried doing it by drawing some of the rune parts onto a smaller piece of paper and placing it over another element on the fire orb rune. His debugging skill didn't activate. It seemed that it had to be drawn on one piece of paper as a whole. Well, that got me nowhere. Before going to bed, let me copy over all of these modules and try to organize them. Roland looked at his quill and frowned. He really needed a pencil for this kind of work. The quill was sometimes messy and required constant refills of ink. He didn't really have time to buy any scribing materials back at his old city. Everything happened fast, so he only brought over other necessities like food, water, and clothes. His work continued into the night. Redrawing the single parts was a lot easier without drawing all those magical pathways. He had no idea what they represented yet, but in the future, he would try designing the simplest rune possible and then start experimenting. Roland believed that if his debugging skill was working with these components, then maybe they were used similar to parts he found on a circuit board. Resistors that were used to control the electric current could be used to control the amount of mana used in a room. Maybe on the detonation rune parts like these were used to make the explosion smaller. If he knew which ones to remove, he could create a larger detonation. Transistors that amplified a charge. Maybe if he found something similar to them, he could increase the output on some of these spells. Memory elements could have pre-programmed modules with the actual spell effects in them. If he figured out how those worked, then the path to making his own custom spells would be open to him. There were many possibilities, but they would have to wait till tomorrow, as he was now dead tired. He also needed to check the stores in the city to either find a place to work or try doing it himself. He had a reason to believe that selling his scrolls would be difficult by himself, so he wanted to find a regular job first. He blew out one of the candles that he had brought with himself. Tomorrow he would finally begin his new life in this place. Roland woke up the next day earlier than expected. The sound of carriages moving and people talking filled his ears. The residents in this city started the day a bit faster than back in Carlin. They also made a lot more noise. He could hear the sounds of hammers hitting metal even from here. He rose to his feet with one eye glued shut. He was a bit groggy. The fatigue from the week-long train ride didn't go away just yet. He somehow crawled out of his bed and went out of his room. There wasn't really much to do there, and he could just carry his stuff in his spatial bag. He had his breakfast, which tasted bland as before. The common people didn't really have much seasoning besides salt and pepper. The small gnome girl was up and about today. He decided to try not to bump into her again as she looked easily irritable. He needed to inspect the new city. Besides this inn and the Adventurers Guild, there were other interesting places to see. First, he decided to find himself a general store that sold items for scribes. He needed to get himself some paper or blank scrolls made from monster skin. He wasn't sure which ones were better, but it would probably be easier to draw on paper than rough scrolls. He kept looking around, quite curious about the people living here. He had been in this world for almost 6 years now. The time that he had spent adventuring was already over half a year. The adventurers were a peculiar bunch, but he found them a well-knit group. There were still dangers in this world, though. Bandits and monsters prowled in the night, and you could get yourself a death sentence if you bumped into a person in a high enough position. Luck was on his side, as besides that one encounter he had managed to fly under the radar. This was probably thanks to the adventurer party he had joined. The 3 girls were quite cautious in their hunts. He didn't show it back then, but he noticed that they were different from the usual adventurer group. They didn't wander into the deeper parts of the dungeon, even though they should be strong. He had reason to believe that they weren't willing to go there with a child like him. He shook his head around, trying to forget about the recent but now old days. He needed to get some shopping done, and he had reached one of the larger general stores. He entered inside and could hear a bell ringing the moment he pushed the door open. He could see some people inside looking at the items on display. The first thing he noticed were the long display cases. They had items placed in them with small text which showed the name and the pricing akin to modern-day price tags. There were some bookcases placed at the walls and some decorations in the form of shields and swords at the walls. This was a general item store, so you could find things like potions, scrolls, and even provisions here. Good day, customer. Feel free to look around the store. He heard someone calling out to him. In front behind the display cases stood an older gentleman. He had large glasses on and was partially balding with some hair on the sides. He was wearing a heavy apron over his regular clothes with some tools sticking out from the pockets. Roland nodded and moved closer to the display cases. He could see some potions of various grades. They had the same grading system as the runes, ranging from lesser all the way up to legendary. Here he found mostly lesser and common ones though. Oh, they do have some scrolls here. In one of the display cases, he saw some rolled up scrolls. This one he was looking at had a mana arrow spell inscribed onto it. He looked at the price and saw that this one went for 1 small silver coin. He wasn't sure if that was a large sum for an item like this. So he tried comparing the price to monster kills. He reasoned that it wouldn't be worthwhile to kill a goblin with this spell scroll unless you were getting a mana stone out of it. If you considered this a life-saving measure, then it wasn't that costly. He looked further and spotted more scrolls that were being sold. The next one in line was a fire arrow spell scroll. This was a direct upgrade from a mana arrow spell and was tier 2 magic. A person making this scroll had to be a more advanced scribe along with being an elemental fire mage. The cost of this spell was triple what the inferior one cost. Roland was a bit surprised by it only being this much. He was inclined to think that this spell should cost a lot more. It was always best to ask when you had some questions instead of overthinking, so he looked at the store owner and gave his question. Excuse me, why does this fire arrow spell only cost 3 small silvers when it's a tier 2 spell, while this mana arrow spell costs 1 small silver? The store owner moved a bit closer to look at what his customer was looking at, and then gave the answer. Even though it's a tier 2 spell, it isn't that much more potent. It also depends on the person making these scrolls and materials. If it was a fireball spell, it would cost about 6 small silver per scroll. Also, dear customer, these scrolls get identified by a professional that can distinguish their true attacking value. An archmage could very well create a simple mana arrow spell that would be several times stronger than a fire arrow spell. It all depends on the person making it. The shop owner was quite happy to explain while taking out one of the scrolls and showing them off. These scrolls also had gratings just as the runes. They were a bit different as the determining factor was not how well they were made, but how much power was injected into them during the creation process. The people made it simple and rated them from lowest to highest, and they were checked by a special device before a price was assigned. I see. Thank you. Roland nodded and wondered how high his grading would be if he wrote down his own Mana Arrow and Mana Bolt spell. He had a lot more intelligence and mana than a regular mage, so he should be able to make more powerful spell scrolls. Before asking more questions, Roland went around the store and found the things he was looking for. He found some magic ink and the more crude-looking monster skin scrolls. He was also sure to get himself a pencil and more sketching paper. From what the shop owner said, these were the cheaper options as the magic paper was made from some difficulty to come by wood. In contrast, monsters were easily hunted down in certain dungeons and were a good renewable resource. The empty scrolls came in bundles of 10 and they were close to the size of A5 paper. This meant that they weren't all that big, but considering the spells he was going to write on them weren't that high level, this was enough. Larger spells required larger scrolls, but these were enough for Tier 1 and Tier 2 spells. The 10 blank scrolls cost him 9 small silver, which put them at 9 large copper coins apiece. So if he managed to sell them all at the price of the Mana Arrow spell in this shop, he would only be making 1 small silver coin. He probably wouldn't be making any money if he added the price of the magic ink into the mix. He was seriously contemplating getting a job now. If he worked for someone, he wouldn't need to worry about manufacturing costs, and he would be still able to earn experience points while getting paid. Excuse me, are there any scroll scribing shops nearby? The shop owner gave Roland the location of the nearest store, but he didn't know if they were recruiting. He bowed respectfully to the man before leaving. The man had been really helpful. His next destination was a place called FFXI's Magic Emporium. It was one of the larger magic shops in the city and was apparently owned by some rich magic user. Roland had no idea what class of mage the person was, but he was loaded. Roland was slightly worried that he wouldn't be able to get a spot in the workforce, mainly due to his lack of elemental affinity. He wasn't sure if he should disclose that he had a more advanced version of the scribe class to people he didn't know he did. The mana arrows weren't really a hot commodity from what he could tell. He ended up by a large 3-story building that had the name that the shop owner mentioned. The sign on it was composed of 2 potions on the side, a scroll in the middle with a staff going through them. It had your standard magic shop feel to it, nothing out of the ordinary. I guess this is it. The first thing he did was to see if there were any job listings hanging outside the 3-story tall building. He didn't find anything like that, so he decided to step inside. The doors were a bit peculiar as they didn't have any handles, but this mystery was resolved quite fast as they opened by themselves the moment he got there. On the inside, it had a similar layout as the general store he visited before. There were display cases with various magical items scattered all over the place. He could buy spell scrolls just as in the previous shop, but they had a lot more variations. He checked the names, and he compared the prices, which came out to be strangely similar. He went through the larger spell scroll section of the shop. There were various spells here, like fireball spells, lightning bolt spells, freezing cones, and various others. He wasn't looking for those though. He was interested in something else. He finally arrived at a smaller section that was further in the back. It was the runic spell scroll section. There were actually few and far between scrolls in this section. They looked a bit dusty, as if no one had picked them up in a while. There wasn't much variation, and they didn't come in bundles like the regular scrolls. They looked more like an exhibit than actual items for purchase. He leaned in closer, interested in what type of spells these were. Runic Orb of Light spell, Runic Fire Arrow spell, Runic Aqua Ball spell. They were mostly simple lower tier spells. He glanced at the Fire Arrow one. He could compare the prices of this one to its counterpart. The moment he saw the numbers, he realized why these were not getting sold. It cost 6 or 7 times as much. Who would buy this? There wasn't a spell under the price of a large silver coin, and that was the Orb of Light. The Fire Arrow spell cost 2 large silver coins. This was a large gap to the regular Fire Arrow spell scroll that went for 3 small silver coins. He tried thinking about why these spell scrolls cost so much more than the other ones. There could be a couple of possibilities, but luckily there was a clerk coming his way, so he could just ask like before. It was a cute-looking girl with long ears, and she was of the taller kind, an elf. She was wearing a red robe of some kind, with the same logo that the store had on her chest part. She was quite the beauty with golden hair as most of the elves were. Hello there. Need any help? The girl smiled. She looked to be in her later teens, but from what Roland knew, she could be well into her 50s. The elves were a race that could live for a very long time. Yes, why do these runic spell scrolls cost so much more than the regular spell scrolls? He was here to ask for a job, but he was also interested in why the runic scrolls were so overpriced. Also why they didn't look like they were selling well. These? That's simple. These spell scrolls are a lot harder to produce than the ordinary spell scrolls. They also require a runesmith to produce them. Roland didn't actually get describing the regular spells, just the He did know that it took quite a while to create one of those runic scrolls. He needed close to an hour to produce one, and he was in a rush for time. The runic spell he made was also on the more rudimentary side, so he could only imagine how long a more complex spell would take to scribe down. From the conversation with the elf lady, it became apparent. The spell scrolls cost so much due to it requiring a tier 2 runesmith, and also a lot more time. The runesmiths probably weren't willing to drop the price range due to the time and effort put into their work. There were a couple of those spell scrolls there. He wanted to get them for further research. He could probably upgrade them to the highest grade and get some schematic experience while at it. Before that though, he recalled what he was here for in the first place. Yes, excuse me, Mississippi. Is this shop perhaps looking for mana scribes? He didn't want people to know that he was a runic mana scribe just yet, as he didn't know if that would bring any unwanted attention to him. The elf girl looked at him from top to bottom and nodded. Mana scribe? I'll have to ask the manager. I think we are, but... She didn't finish the sentence while covering her mouth as if she was holding back from revealing too much information. Just follow me. I'll bring you to the manager. He is always looking for good workers. The woman turned around and he followed after her. They both headed upstairs. The stairs were quite narrow and circular, and there was hardly any space for anyone to walk next to. On the next floor, he saw a corridor leading to a room with the words manager on them. To the sides were other rooms that were closed off. These rooms also had words written on them. One of them had potions on them. Another one scrolls and spells written on a plaque. Those were either production rooms or places where they stored those items. Before he could examine his surroundings, the elf girl knocked on the door. They both heard a high-pitched voice answering with a "come in," and so they did. Inside was your usual office with a large desk. On that desk beside documents, there was a full-blown chemist set with various vials and tubes. There were various colorful liquids going through those tubes, for what reason he did not know. To the sides were shelves filled with some strange ingredients which made Roland think that he entered an alchemist workshop. What is it, Zilyana? You know that I'm busy. The person that answered wasn't human. He was a person with a smaller frame and a large head, and his ears were pointy, but not as long as an elf's. He was holding a pipette and dropping some blue liquid into a larger pitcher of green liquid. Manager, I brought you a potential worker. I think this boy wants to work as a scribe. The smaller man stopped what he was doing and glanced at Roland with his eyes. He then went right back to what he was doing while speaking. Just show him the contract. If he signs it, you can test his skills in scribing. Now leave. I'm busy with my research. The two headed out, and the elf girl just smiled at Roland while shrugging. Don't mind the manager. He is always buried deep into his work. He is actually an advanced alchemist. Sure. He mentioned some kind of contract? The girl nodded, and they went downstairs, and they entered a smaller back room. Once inside, the elf girl started to rummage through some stacks of paper. She then brought out a large scroll and handed it to him. It looked a bit beat up and dusty. You just need to sign the magic contract with your signature and insert some mana for it to work. Magic contract? He was interested in what this was, so he started reading through this so-called contract. The more he read, the more his brows started furrowing. When he arrived at the end, he just looked up to the elf with a confused expression. Why you want me to sign this? The elf nodded as if everything was fine. The contract was a 6-year deal. It stated that he would work for a set price and would have to scribe a set number of spells each day. There were a few he could choose from, and depending on it, the number could decrease or increase. This wasn't the problematic part, though. The contract stated that he wouldn't have the right to sell any spell scrolls outside the shop, even less if it were spells that he had learned during his work here. In short, they would supply him with the knowledge, but he needed to waive any rights to his work for those 6 whole years. The contract was a magical one, so it would be known if he breached it, and he would suffer some type of curse. It might have not looked like such a bad deal. He would have work and would be supplied with crafting materials. The only thing getting impeded would be his freedom. He wouldn't even be able to make spell scrolls outside his work area, so he wouldn't be able to experiment with his runes at all. The 6-year period was also bothering him. He wanted to quickly level up and then get the blacksmith class. If he signed this, he would have to keep working here even when he achieved his goal. You know what? I'll think about it. He decided to leave for now. Maybe the other shops around the city would give him a better deal. He still had a lot of time, and he wasn't low on money, so he wasn't worried, at least not yet. Roland was sitting down on a bench outside a certain building. This was the fifth he had visited today, and the sun was already setting. He had gone through the city while trying to find himself a place to work. The first place wanted to make him sign a 6-year contract that felt more like a scam than anything else. He decided to continue with his search, but what he found later was quite shocking. The first contract given was on the better side. The other places wanted to keep him there for longer. The terms were similar and the pay varied. Some wanted him to make a certain number of scrolls each day. Others wanted him to work for a fixed amount of hours for the entire week. He wouldn't even have days off. I made a big mistake. He thought that a big city like this would have many opportunities. He was sure that he would find something sooner or later. The reality was different. The store owners were all in cahoots. They made it hard for any new talent to get a good start. A new scribe wouldn't be able to earn any money at all. The prices of the materials were set so that only intermediate level spell scrolls would actually bring in profit. He didn't even know if they would buy scrolls from a third party like him, or if they gave them a fair price. Probably not. Roland was now thinking that a smaller town might have been a better choice. They would probably offer him a less binding contract, one without a curse. The curse was also one that lowered your mana by 60% until the contract time ran out. For a mage, something like that would be crippling. Losing more than half of your mana pool would halt your progress dramatically. His plan was to work as a scribe for a year or so. With his experience gaining Trick, he had reason to believe that he could reach L25 of this class by then. He figured that getting enough money for a class change crystal wouldn't be that hard. He even had enough right now. The reality was different though. No one from the established shops would let him test his skills in their shops for free. He would need to pay up and close to labor. He had assumed too much. He thought that a mage class was a rare commodity. He thought that when the store owners heard that he was a mana scribe, they would spread their arms wide and invite him in, no questions asked. He had underestimated how businesses operated here and that they already had a system in place. Most of the scribes were kids from the magic academies. These academies were able to get better contracts for their students that were only working to level up and gain new skills for their future. If you were a solo act, the contracts were much harsher as they didn't really care about you as a worker. Why would they if they got cheap labor from the magic academies instead? What are my other options besides signing one of those contracts? The youth looked out into the distance. The horizon was all red as the sun was setting. He could even see some priests from the Sun Church praising the sun and doing some strange pose with their arms outstretched into the air. He could take the contract and work hard for those 5 or 6 years. He would probably gain a lot of experience through scribing and reach max level. He could hold out on using the schematics trick until he got to the blacksmith class if it showed promise. The problem was that he wouldn't really be able to focus on his smithing work. Some of the
What's going on? I'm Devs. How you doing? Cool. So you're still working on the teleport quests?
contracts even forbade part-time work at other places.
Neebs?
Yeah?
Check this out.
Okay.
Look.
What?
Look how far we can see.
We couldn't see this far before?
No, we could not see this far before.
Okay.
Jack installed the distance mod.
Oh, cool.
So look, we remember that floating island we went to way out there?
Yeah?
I can see it from here.
Which one?
The one with that house on it?
Okay, what about the one with the lava and the volcano?
No, I think that one's beyond that one. Can't quite see that, but man, still, the fact that we can see that far, that's impressive. Oh, I can see little Dora's little sand castle over there.
Sandcastle?
Yeah, it may not have loaded in for you. I think it has to load in chunks.
Oh yeah, maybe my chunks aren't chunky enough.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go find Simon because I think he's that way, and I think Dora's not here.
I can't remember if
You got a spider in your
I do
helicopter.
have a spider in my
if
helicopter.
that
Can
requires
you
like
fly that?
fighting or
I'm gonna
not.
find out.
I only remember
Oh, he took the back seat.
Yep, he seems to be okay.
the jungle teleport is the
You're
only one
doing
that
it.
requires
Oh,
fighting,
wow, hey, that web was
and that's the
sweet.
marble
Yeah,
one,
you
which
forgot
sucks.
your web.
No, but I actually like that web being there. That kind of held me back and allowed me to get more power before I took off.
Oh, cool. I'll leave it then.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna go find Simon.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where he is. I'm just gonna yell, Simon!
That should work.
Simon! 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 Simon!
Now, what I don't understand. Oh, see? And now you're on fire. This water is supposed to be taking care of this lava. And now all of a sudden you go
Well,
on fire? It should be the opposite.
I already went and bought it, and
That's what he said?
it's gonna be a pain in the ass. Oh god, this fly is bothering me, especially when I'm eating.
Yo!
Hey!
Oh man. Okay, are you near like a large tower?
Yeah. I'm
All
near the
right.
large tower.
So you must be down here in the village. Man, this distance mod is sick.
Yeah, the
All right,
drop
hold on, I
rate
gotta
is
remember how to land this
atrocious.
bitch.
It
Oh,
is
yeah,
so
here I
bad.
come.
Oh, you can go like straight down.
Yeah.
Now that since
Hey,
I
what?
since I
Wait to
bought it
take off.
in
Hey, there's a
the
spider in the back.
auction
What?
house,
There's a spider.
Oh
I'm
God,
good
no,
with-
this
I'm
is
good with,
crazy. And there's a spider. Just
Yes.
happens to
I'm
be
good
a
with trying to
spider.
farm
Yeah,
the
he
marble.
did it
If I get
for
it by
some reason.
accident, like
Yeah,
you know,
I
when
hope that stays there
doing a
forever.
party or something, and I get it by
Oh, and
accident,
these things.
that's
there,
okay.
Let me touch it.
Yeah,
But,
all right,
um,
sweet. So yeah, we can go back
Yeah,
to
no, it's
Wee Wee
so
Queevy.
bad.
Wee Wee Queevy is the I guess the
Even
place near
even
the
with
house.
Yeah, and this is our new place. You want to see?
Wait,
Steve,
oh, you guys moved down here?
son.
Yeah, man. Watch out. There's
Drop
some
rate
lava.
is still so bad.
Step over this little puddle here. I'm trying to do some science.
Man, this place is a shithole. Look at
This
this.
is beautiful. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Just,
You think this place is a shithole? Look all around us.
Yeah.
Look at that nice tower right there.
yeah,
And
why
then-
don't you live in the
Yeah,
tower?
weird.
Look at that.
Is
The
it
tower's
100,000? Because when I
well,
bought
yeah, I mean, we
mine,
might live in the tower at some point, but this is
I
like
paid like
where
maybe I
we're
think it was like
keeping our
60
stuff.
or
Gotcha,
70,
man. I
something
got
around
this
there.
distance mod now, so yeah, I just want to like explore everywhere. But
Okay.
it's
I don't,
cozy in here. I can see that.
don't think
Yeah,
it was.
but hey, let's explore. I'm bored and
100,000.
Dora isn't
I don't
here.
remember it being
Well, let's
100,000.
see. Well, if I'm keeping
That's
the
crazy
spider,
if
which I
it
kind of want
increased.
to, you want to teleport back to Wee Wee Queevil?
Yeah, I could do that. So in other words, you're not gonna fly me around because the spider is more important to you.
I mean, I'll kill the spider if you want me to, Simon. I love you. I love you more
let's
than the spider.
It's okay. Let's hang on to it
No,
as
it's
long as we
80,
can.
okay.
And why are you on fire?
Yeah,
I really don't
when I
like
when I
the
bought it, it
grass
was like
burns.
I think
All
it
right,
was somewhere
I
around
gotta
60 or
teleport over
70.
here.
So it
You go to Wee Wee
increased.
Queevil,
Wee wee queevy.
and then meet up with Neebs, and I'll be back very shortly.
All right, wee wee queevy, here I come. I lack the required XP to travel.
I'm killing the spider.
Son of a bitch.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh boy, the sun's going down. Cows, be careful. Look out for creepers and skeletons. You know the drill. Listen, I know I've been away for a while, but I am going to try to fix things up. I know you guys are cramped, but I have a lot of ideas. I
I
want
don't
this
think
road
it's
to go
hard.
to our
I just think
neighbors that
it's-
don't live there anymore. Hey, maybe I'll
kind
build
of
you
a
guys a
pain.
tunnel. So you can go under
Because,
here, and I'll build another
You gotta train so
pasture
many
over there.
cornets,
How great would that be?
and it's a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I wouldn't say
Simon, I love
I wouldn't
this
say
mod
it's
so
hard.
much.
I just say it's
Yeah,
a
this
pain.
is cool. I don't know what the hell this thing is. That's lava?
Is that lava?
I don't know. That's what I thought.
Well,
no.
yeah, let's get a little closer.
Now
Wow.
looks mushroomy.
It's like a dragon ship. Oh, do I see? Yeah, oh god, that thing's loaded with creepers.
Oh man, don't you just kind of want to get a little bit close and see if you can get one of them to blow up? Huh?
Yeah, and lose this ship.
No, why would you lose the ship? Oh, I guess they could shoot. They could probably shoot you out of the ship.
The Skelly boys might be able
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Let's
Oh
not.
god! Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Oh, jeez.
Oh god!
Oh,
Oh
we're
god!
on fire.
I don't know
I'm
what
on
the. I
fire.
know you're on fire. I don't know what that was.
Okay, and then
Okay, you okay?
jeez. Yeah, I'm fine now.
Oh yeah, something. What the hell? Did you see that spawner?
Yeah, please don't go back. Oh, they're riding stuff that flies. They are. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah. No, I want to come back here though. When we're geared up.
Yeah, geared up heavily.
Yeah. It took me because I would use up the gil that I have, and then I have to go and do more teleports to make more gil, and then I'd go and buy more. So it took me a couple days
Simon, this is.
of
I can't get over it.
cornet
You
trading.
can honestly, like, sell tours on this thing this time of day. It's beautiful.
Yeah, man, it's so weird. Like, yeah, I got to keep exploring just to load more of the world in, but I'm blown away. I can see all the way to my house. This little tower here, this is where Neebs and I fought a bunch of villagers back in the day.
Okay.
And I saw something over here. Yeah, there's like some ruins over here.
All right, so we'll check out the ruins. You don't think we're gonna get killed?
We might get killed, but I don't want to get killed.
Right, and then when I die, oh, where was the last place I saved? Probably back home. That'll be fine, I guess.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah, I do see little villagers. Yeah, they're pillagers down there. But what is that?
I don't know. Will you bring me back here, like, to get my stuff if I die?
Yeah, no, I would absolutely do that. But
Okay.
I'm just exploring. I'm just checking
There,
out.
we want one now.
Okay. I don't think we want to mess with this right now. But man, I'm just starting to. I'm seeing so many places I want to adventure. Oh, like
Yeah.
even directly above us, there's an island.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's just pretty much asking us to go up here.
And R.
Nice.
All right, sword. Let me eat some chicken.
Get out. I did hit that. All right.
Yeah, it should be the
All right, careful.
cheapest.
Oh God, Simon!
And
Simon,
Cornhead
back,
Station
back,
be the
back.
cheapest.
Back it. Back it.
Oh, what was that guy? What was
I
that
don't
guy?
know.
These guys are tough.
Probably.
Oh, okay. Oh, oh God.
Oh, boy. That's loud.
Oh yeah, I fought these guys before. Oh, careful, Simon. Oh man. Oh
Yeah.
God, if they're spawning here, we gotta bail. We gotta bail.
All right. So it's just, there you go.
Finally got a
Bail.
day of blood.
We're fine with bailing, even though that might have been the only one.
Oh, Simon! What? Get in! Get in! Get in! Get in! Oh no! Don't hit me! Oh God! Oh shit! Oh God! Where would he spawn? Oh yes, back shit. I guess back at his other base. Well, at least I can see where it's at. Way over there. I'm coming, Simon.
Oh, hold up, cows. What is going on under here? Is this something we've dug? I see lights in there. I'd prefer you didn't come in here, because I don't know what we're dealing with. What is this? Someone's been in here. There. Okay, you know what? Let's just wall this off. I'm gonna put your tunnel right, okay. We just wanna go straight through here to get you the other side. Even though you're not chickens, know what I mean? Get it? Choose what chickens do. Y'all are gonna use this, right? Oh yeah. Wait, but don't go that way. Don't go that way. Don't go that way. Oh God, I don't have enough. No! Oh God! You're gonna get lost in the cave forever! Shoot! You guys are killing me! Killing me!
Let's see. Can you hop in without me taking off?
I don't know. Let's see.
Like right click right now.
Trying to. No, I'm right clicking and it's not doing it.
Sounds like you're repairing it.
Okay, that's
Keep
good.
right clicking.
All right, now
Oh,
I
sweet.
can.
Awesome. Oh, that's cool. I can just. Man, I should be a taxi service.
Yeah, you really should be.
Yeah.
Man, that was an awful place for me to die.
Oh yeah, really, really bad. Oh
Yeah.
God, now what's happening now?
I
This
don't know.
rain?
It's very foggy.
Oh, this is gonna limit my visibility.
Oh yes, of course it is.
Pretty sure this is it, Simon.
Well, yeah, I think so. Just where? Do you happen to remember?
It was
Where?
on this side. All right, I'm just looking out for that pig guy.
That's right. Gotta forget to deal with him.
Oh, I see your stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Please let most of it be there.
All right, tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep the car running, basically.
I'm gonna get out now.
Do it,
Good?
do it.
All right.
If you got to, I'm right here. I'm not gonna leave without you.
All right. Right down to the eggs, the bucket.
Oh, Simon, he's coming. Simon, he's coming.
right click.
Simon, he's coming. Simon, he's coming.
Come on,
Right click. Simon! Damn it. Should have put a bedroll down. Fuck.
Move back, man. I'm trying to dig this hole. And then if we break through the other end, tell you what, let's get you back upstairs. How about that?
Yeah, I could do that.
We'll do the old
2000
trick.
experience.
Okay.
Probably head over.
Got your attention? Yep. Okay. Let's all. Nope. All right. Everyone's freaking out. Oh God. Okay. Let's put it away. Putting the hay away for a second. All right. Bringing it back. Everybody out of the hole. Over here. Okay. We good? Oh yeah. That's how you get them out of the hole. All right. Good. And nope. We're not eating yet. Nobody in the hole yet. Okay. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Perfect. Oh, God. Where were you? All right.
Oh,
just one.
somebody's
of ya.
asking.
Don't do anything crazy, okay?
Okay, somebody just asked here in Juno when it's happening.
All
and
right,
they
I
say
see
it
the
now.
island,
So
so your
hopefully I
stuff
make
should
it to
just
the
be
ship.
right below it.
Yeah, I don't know to what side.
I know. I think I remember.
Okay.
Because you fell. It kind of reminded me of like Wile E. Coyote back, you know, on an old Roadrunner cartoon.
Oh yeah, I was picturing myself more like the villain from Die Hard.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was, well, what's his name?
Hans Gruber.
Man.
Oh, I think I see your
Yeah,
stuff right
I
in
need
this
to
tree.
floss
Oh,
my
look at that.
teeth.
You have such
Guess
a good
I'm-
eye.
I
It's
got meat
just a
stuck
memory.
between my teeth,
All right,
and I
kid,
hate
hop out
how
here in the
this
tree.
All right,
feel.
hold on. Hitting that to that. Now I'm on top of it. Bam.
You may want
All
to
right.
put that bed down just in case.
All right, so I'll put down the bed. What, in the tree?
Yeah, sure.
All right, bed's down in the tree.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna land here for a second.
I feel like I had more stuff. I should have more stuff than this.
Listen, there's a good chance you lost some of it because the first time you died, you kind of exploded.
But I picked up so much stuff. I want to say I was 99% sure I had that. Yep, hold on. I gotta go down. So.
Yep. Oh yeah, there's some stuff down here on the
Yeah.
ground too, Simon.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that a cookie?
I got a
Is that
cookie.
a fucking cookie?
Of course I do.
All right, some
Who
gloves.
wouldn't want a cookie? Can I jump down there without killing
Yeah,
myself?
you should be fine. If not, put a bedroll on the top of that tree right there.
That's a bad place to put it.
Okay, well, yeah, you should be fine jumping down here. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little hurt. Okay. All right. So there was also a sword out here. Do I have my diamond? My one diamond? No, I need my diamond freaking shovel.
Did you lose the diamond shovel?
I can't be. Oh, man, it's got to be around here. I don't want to give up on it. Look around, please.
All right, I'm looking.
Because I can't bear to lose another freaking diamond thing in such a short amount of time. Maybe it is up in the tree too, like it could have been.
Here, I'll tell you what. I'll chop down the tree.
Or would it absolutely fall? We know for sure.
Yeah, it would fall down
And
with
the
the rest
bed
of the stuff.
too. The bed's still up there.
Oh yeah, the bed will fall. Oh god, no, the bed is floating now.
Yeah,
So, that's a spawn point for you, just in case.
that's fine.
I'll chop down some of these trees, see if you see the
Yeah,
thing.
see the boat.
I hope you're sure on the science behind that it's going to be a good idea.
Oh yeah, it would just fall. All right, see anything?
No.
Man, I think you may have lost that shovel,
No,
buddy.
come on. Can't lose everything but the damn shovel.
Simon, look. Hey, come here.
What?
2 diamonds. You
Watch
can-
out, creeper behind you. Watch out. You don't want to
fuck.
blow up
Oh,
the
god,
thing.
that's one of the big ones too.
Yeah.
All right.
Son of a bitch.
Come on.
Get him away from.
Oh, God, I love this shield.
Yeah, well, that's good, but damn it, I'm not giving up yet.
Look, you got
I
2
gotta-
diamonds. You can make a shovel when we get back.
Who has 2 diamonds?
Yeah, I just gave you 2 diamonds.
Oh, I didn't know you gave me fucking 2 diamonds?
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell you threw me.
2 diamonds. So guess what? You can make 2 shovels with that. Let's get the hell out of here.
All right, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Thank you. Wow.
Dumbass is. Do you need Dynam ISO?
Oh yeah, I think that works. So we'll come up here,
No, we need
and
dynamics
then
right
there'll be
now.
a fence. We'll dig this out. There you go. Hey, you're the first one. You're like first man on the moon, kinda, or moon. All right, man, I should get you like a tag. Name you, and then you'll be like a history hero. All right, don't wander off. I don't want to forget which cow you were.
Man, I love me a houseboat.
Man, yeah. This is very isolating.
Oh, there's somebody out there.
Oh, is it a pillager?
Yeah.
Or no, it's a villager.
Villager. Did you say pillager?
Pillager, yeah, that's like the bad villagers. All right, you want to rob this place? There you go. If you do that, yeah, I'm gonna hover right here because I can't land anywhere,
All right.
obviously.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? What's going on? Just saying hey.
He got
Just wanna
anything?
Check out your place. I don't see anything.
If you right-click on him, kid, well, does he sell anything?
Well, hold on. If I right-click on him, yeah, it looks like there's trades, like there's fish or an emerald or like string.
Okay, not interested. Nothing in his house?
I mean, there might be stuff in the house, but I don't know if I can get in past them. All right, here. So yeah, there's storage here. Oh yeah, I got some iron ingots.
Oh, take those iron ingots, yeah.
Do I want to go with suspicious stew?
Suspicious stew.
Suspicious stew.
Here we go. Yeah, come through there. Hey, all right, you're following. Okay, and then we're not going to let the others through just yet. We want to, okay, it does work. Nope, not yet. We're not open yet. Okay, this is great. Listen, got a name for you. I'll put you up somewhere like in a fancy place. How about Neil Farmstrong? Huh? Like Neil Armstrong? You probably don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's a great name. People are gonna talk about you for centuries.
You know, I'm gonna try this suspicious stew.
That seems suspicious.
I know. Okay, whoa.
What'd it do to you?
Everything just got dark. New recipe unlocked, it said, and then I didn't read it. Everything got dark though, and now it's light again.
Okay, but you had like swirls coming off you from it. You look like Pigpen from Charlie Brown.
Yeah, I'm a smelly, filthy bastard too.
All right, and I'm gonna land the plane. What's up, damn dog?
Oh, you got a doggy
I
dog?
do have a dog. He sits up here and dogs. Oh, wait, there's skeleton boys about. Yeah, you know what? Ow. All right, I'm going to go somewhere safer.
All right, he's a good dog. Be
Yeah.
a good dog.
Okay, I gotta
I
hit
saw
him.
him wagging his tail.
Yeah, we'll go to Neebs' house. Neebs, you home?
Hey,
Hey!
where you at?
Front door.
Front door. Oh, come on in.
Hello.
Quick though.
Yeah,
There's-
yeah.
There we go.
Voice.
This is Neil.
Okay, the cow.
Damn.
Watch your back.
Jesus Christ, Simon. You just took one in the back of the head.
Yeah, I guess so.
Don't stand near that wall.
I didn't
Sweet.
realize that this was so open.
It's kind of a balcony, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, Neil Farmstrong.
Nice.
No one cares about my cow?
I do. Where there? Oh, there's the cow. That Neil Farmstrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, great name.
Well, you guys don't have to be here.
Yeah, Simon, check that out.
Oh, a ceiling fan.
Hell yeah, I got Neebs a ceiling fan.
That's very nice. That makes all the difference in the world in the summer. Can you jump into it and get hurt?
Try it.
Oh,
Oh, wow, okay, you can.
It did hurt.
Yeah.
Wow, lesson learned. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no, 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 no. I was goofing off and I fell.
You fell in a hole? You got a bunch of zombies on
Oh,
your
God,
butt?
how many are on my ass?
Like 20? Maybe 30?
Come on, bring it.
lot.
Oh, that's a baby.
Yeah, the babies are the worst.
Oh, I got the baby.
Is the sun out?
It's about to be.
Oh man, you got lucky.
Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Oh, man.
Hey, maybe go to a different house, not mine.
Yeah, I suppose I could.
Zip.
Oh, fuck.
Creeper! Run away!
Oh, no.
Run away!
I'm running, damn it.
Whoo!
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, no, I'm about to die. I'm about to die. I'm about to die. No, eat. Yeah. Go. Hell. I think I made it.
Yep,
There
keep
you
running!
go.
Oh God, Simon.
Yeah.
You see the helicopter?
No. Did he leave?
Look at the helicopter. It's out the front window.
Out the front window. I don't see anything. Oh, shit!
I guess that's his now.
Hey, Names,
Yeah.
come up here. I made something cool.
Oh, your helicopter has a creeper in it.
Oh, well, that's not good.
On my way.
All right, let's see. I just made this, so I'm not sure how big this is gonna be, but
I'm not gonna
oh
get
my
a
God.
party.
Was it a biplane?
That is a biplane.
Oh.
I feel like the helicopter is a lot more controllable for what we do, huh?
Oh, wait, it says no fuel. And, oh, okay. Oh my God, I can put boost rockets in this bitch? Weapon slots, banners, upgrades, okay. Oh, but I put coal in the burner. Oh my God, oh, this is awesome. All right, ooh, all right, give me some runway, watch out. I'm gonna try to back
Okay.
up.
Is that
up.
only one seater?
Maybe, can you right click on it?
No. No. Doesn't appear.
Okay, I guess this is a one-seater.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give it a shot though, ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Okay,
And
give
knees
myself
off.
more runway.
Oh, you went
boy.
right through that box.
You're gonna need more
Oh
speed.
God, oh God,
Oh,
oh God,
no.
oh God. Ow,
Oh,
bitch, damn bitch. Okay, hold on, I'm getting some speed,
Oh,
bitch.
you're in
Oh, fuck.
Jeez. Thank God there wasn't 2 seats, huh, Simon?
I'm okay. But I may need to make another biplane.
Yeah, I think you do.
And I need a longer runway. All right,
That's
I'm building
funny.
an airport. Leave me alone for 10 days.
Around 50, Dragon really takes off. Yeah, I'm pretty sure because around that level is when you get the really good weapon skills. Because right now the weapon skills are pretty ass. And around 45, around 49, I mean, around 49 is when you get the 5-fold weapon skill. I think it's
Journey,
I think it's
what are
5.
you?
A bitch.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
A bad bitch.
A bad witch.
What's this?
A bitch.
What's this?
Chiba.
Giraffe?
Trap.
What is this?
Daddy.
Is that racist? Is that racist? Welcome back to another wholesome Sunday with kids that'll make conservatives laugh.
That's your water bottle, mommy.
That's my water bottle?
She knows too much.
It's okay, fish. It's okay. I worry. It's okay.
It's too wholesome, man.
It's okay, fish. It's okay, fish.
When they ask me where I buy my yip dick,
Ask anybody if you can put it on?
I asked myself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy I got one. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me run to the kitchen to get a ice cream. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Got myself an ice cream.
So whose lipstick is that?
Mine.
You bought it?
Yeah.
Where'd you buy it at?
My Yipic.
Yeah.
you my yip
I
dick?
buy it from Home Depot.
Homie Depot.
You ask?
You can't even be mad at him. His coach said to slide into home, and he took it literally.
Yes. Yes, I think so. I think so.
You got it, little man.
Like off the top of my head, like if I could see a map, I can do it, but I can give you a
With the
like
assist.
the exact
If you're
location.
having a bad day, I don't have a advice for you. I do have this for you. I hope that helps.
It sure did. Thank you. YouTube usually turns off the comments to these videos when I show a lot of kids in them. So if you're liking the video so far, please consider hitting the thumbs up button below the video. Minding her own business?
No.
Oh, no.
No, it's not. It's not Basic Minds. It's It is.
The way she clutches her sweater.
It is Bastic
No, ma'am.
Market, and it is located at
Charlie?
10.
Whatever it is.
Is
Really got your eye. I'm gonna come
the
down
store
here and try to
at
figure out what you were looking at. All right, let's
K10.
see. So you're looking right.
It's the
Wait a second.
no.
I think he wants some cake.
See, it's if you can see like the little screen. Yeah. Okay, I didn't even see what's going on here.
Huh. Whatever it is. Really got your eye. I'm gonna come down here and try to figure out what you were looking at. All right, let's see. So you're looking right. Wait a second.
I think he wants some cake. The old haven't sat down all day move. He learned it from Dad. The moment when words finally come out and everyone melts.
Dada, good job. Oh my god.
Dada melted. Mama's like, where's my work?
Middle Metal's here.
Hello, beautiful.
Hey.
Hi.
It takes 20 minutes, right? Huh? 20 minutes.
Look, you here.
Okay, that's cute, but don't have your alcohol on the bottom shelf, y'all. My wife was a kindergarten teacher, and one of the boys in her class just cracked open a cold one during lunch because he just grabbed it out of the fridge. The father was quite apologetic.
What'd you say?
Go faster!
Go faster!
POV, I think my grandbaby is an old lady.
I'm leaving, bye. What you doing? What you doing? No, you're not sitting down. Everywhere we go, you want to have a seat. Like you're an old lady. Get up.
I don't have no boyfriend ever.
I promise.
I promise.
Never one boyfriend.
Never one boyfriend.
All right, I love you, honey.
Maybe 2 boyfriends.
No, you said none.
Oh, outsmarted by your 4-year-old.
Who's on this candle?
Dumbledore.
Pretty sure.
Bro was on me.
Dylan, where are you? Dylan!
Kan du hjelpe meg?
One food pack can.
Get in the burger.
No, it's not a burger. Don't call it.
Cheese on mine.
She's on mine too.
May ski with my Everybody say titties. Butterflies.
Butterflies. Butterflies.
I go you. M-U-T-E-L-L.
This one is so old.
What's the word?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
How long have you been married?
4 years.
6. No, Mom.
Well, why'd you take it out the package?
I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Why'd you take the stuff out the package?
I didn't know, Mom.
It's stealing, and they're gonna come get you.
What can I just?
I'm gonna call them.
No, Mommy, please. You want me to go to jungle in 1,000 days?
Oh, little guy is worried, man.
Oh, congratulations. Thank you, baby. Now your baby is out. Yeah. But why are you still fat?
He's all scared. I see you. You're scared. Okay. I'm playing with you. Relax.
I wasn't scared.
Hey, my baby.
Bye-bye. But why are you running away?
Because you told me to treat my room.
Because I told you to clean your room?
Yes.
Okay, I'll see you later.
She's got the knapsack and everything.
Bye.
See you later.
Daddy finger, where are you? Here I am. I want to be pregnant. What does that say?
What does it say?
Connection is fun.
Connection.
Yep. It says connection is fun.
It's fun. That's it. That's what that says.
YouTube, that's what it says, okay?
Would you still love me if I was fat?
Yeah, of course. Mom, you are fat.
Give me a color that starts with letter M.
Yeah.
I don't know. Blue?
Blue?
You like the whipped cream, don't you?
I love whipped cream. I found whipped cream in my mom's bedroom, and I ate like the whole entire thing. T-R-A-V. Is this V? E-R-S-E.
What does that spell?
Car.
We gotta get your pee-pee in here.
Why?
Because I gotta test it.
We need to taste it.
Y'all hug each other? Can y'all act like y'all love each other?
Hurry up and go. I'm trying to go to school too. Come on.
Oh, put it down.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
Miles and miles from your nice bed.
Acting like she voted for Kamala.
Stick your head in, move it around, close it. Thank you for cleaning my toilet.
Classic.
What do you think about California?
California.
You like it?
Yeah.
Do you like it? You taking a shit?
Aiden has $1 bill, $1 and 2 pennies. How much money does he have?
What was your favorite video? Drop a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Conservative Vibes. I'm CV, and I'll see you in the next video.
Why do I still seeking? Why do I still have this seeking thing on?
I've devised a very normal quiz that won't upset anybody, especially not the contestants. Let's see what these PokeTubers know.
I'm mad.
Oh no! All right, well, good quiz, everyone.
All right, I'll see y'all later. Like and subscribe, y'all.
We didn't do anything to deserve it, but do it anyway.
Here's how things are gonna work. I have little tally charts for you.
Shannon.
Basically, I'm gonna give you ticks as points. If you answer a question
Get
correct,
these off
you get
me.
all the points. Tis the season.
I shouldn't have been in that tall grass, but it's Pokemon, but I couldn't help myself.
Arlie, where would you like to start?
I want to keep it simple here. Where's Why Not for the Pokeball?
Very simply, you have to tell me, where's Why Not?
Okay,
Whoa.
seems simple enough. I just know I'm about to see some bullshit on this screen.
No, you're probably going to see Why Not.
You might.
Thank you. Yeah, you might.
FYI, this first one is an all play. First one to tell me where Why Not is gets the
Oh.
point. Let's go!
On the screen.
More accurate.
I found
Under the Waylord.
I also saw
That's not Why Not.
He's in the castle.
Oh, I see Why Not.
Is it on the bottom door?
Center above your name.
He's it.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, in the window.
Shannon said in the castle earliest.
I said bottom
Give it
center.
to
That's
me.
more accurate.
I said bottom door.
But you were far more accurate because I would say probably 60% of this screen is castle. I'm torn.
Can we share the point?
No, I don't particularly like that. I'm going to give this one to Arlie because you guys are confusing me. Just kidding. That'd be crazy. I'm going to give you each 1 point. I think that's a great way to start. Papa, you're up.
Okay. I'm gonna go Metronome Master Ball.
Whoa!
Just chaos right off the
Gosh. Decipher the message.
Tree Speak Gun. Tree Whisper Gun. Trevenant.
Is that your final answer?
The logic is sound.
What if that's drawing and the gun's just trying to throw me off?
There's a marker.
There's a marker. Great Marsh.
Great Marsh. How did you get to that conclusion?
You said that, and I was like, that makes perfect sense.
The Great Marsh is where that man robbed me at gunpoint. That is so far away from what I'm looking for, but I really appreciate the logic that you went through.
Picture this. You're walking through Viridian Forest. It's a dark night. It's there's a wind blowing. It's creepy. The trees are whispering. I have a gun. That's the message.
No, I'm sorry, Arlie.
Well,
I'm two.
I don't have a message here. I'm trying really hard to figure out what type of tree that is because I feel like that is a big part here. There's secret or whisper, and then there's draw gun. I don't know.
I just want to point out, guys, this is a master ball. We didn't even warm up, right? We're gonna pull a hamstring doing this kind of question right out the gate.
Answer, Sudowoodo.
No, I'm sorry. The actual answer is Will-O-Wisp Drudigan.
Oh my god.
You Drudigan?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
I need to warm up for
Will-O-Wisp
that for sure.
Drudigan. Willow, whisper, draw the gun.
Draw the
Okay, I was
Oh my
on to something with
gosh.
the draw the gun.
Don't pick a master ball if you haven't warmed up.
I'll do it
A
again.
valuable lesson.
I'll do it.
That's a threat.
You watch me. Shannon, you're up next.
You gotta give me dad descriptions for Pokeball.
Oh, brother. So for people that don't know, Shannon's been doing a lot of conversing with my mother about certain categories for other quizzes. And so I called Shannon's dad and asked him to describe Pokemon based on their Bulbapedia image. You must guess which picture I showed him.
I love
How did you even
this.
understand what he was saying?
Okay, so here is what Father Shannon said.
So it looks like you got a backwards hat with feathers sticking out of her and a couple nutsacks on the side.
Wow.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Backwards hat with feathers? Oh, it's Gulpin.
Oh.
It is Gulpin. Look at him, little backwards hat. Couple of
I get
nutsacks.
the hat now. I see.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, give
look,
me another tick.
look at this. Party early with it. No. It's
Well, it kind of
two
looks like
picks for
Arlie's
Shannon.
already got a bunch of marks on hers.
True.
the grain of the wood.
Would it be boring to stay in the same category? Could I do dad descriptions for
Do
Great
you
Ball?
think I'd make a boring category? I don't think so. Let's check out dad descriptions.
This is such a delightful idea. I love it.
Thank you.
I hate it.
This one looks like the gorilla took on the 100 men, but in a different way.
I'm assuming it's a gorilla poke. Would it maybe be slacking? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Wow!
You got it.
Oh, wow.
Wow. He just thought he was so seductive.
Oh gosh.
All right, I'm gonna do what's happening, but I'm gonna do quick ball.
What's happening?
Hold on. Give me a sec.
I'm holding. It'll repeat. Don't worry. It's a GIF.
It's very mesmerizing.
It's delightful.
Sword stance. I know the word dance is in there.
Getting close, but also not remotely what I'm looking for. Shannon.
They dance, see? Yeah.
Oh, they Deancy.
They dance.
No,
see?
Arlie.
I was also gonna say swords dance here. Dragon their feet, their dragon dance.
Guys, they're dancing together because Ritzo Raltz, Raggy, Ree. I can't do the laugh.
I can't
Just
do
a
this.
horse. Ree. I can't do it.
You said the
Just too
quiz goes on
excited.
until one of us quits, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a Raltz.
We haven't done what it do, so let's do that for Pokeball.
What move can every Pokemon use?
Run.
To make it a little shorter, what it all do?
Now, is this a joke or an actual thing? Because no,
You are currently cannon fodder to figure out whether or not there's a pun involved.
Thank God.
I'm going to say run, because no matter what Pokemon you send out, you can run.
You can select that from the move menu?
Shoot.
Incorrect. Arlie, could you give it a swing?
Wait, what does HM stand for?
Hidden machine.
There's probably like a Pokemon move that has like move in the name. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna go with bag.
Heck.
Pokemon use bag option.
I see, please help.
Okay, well, assuming that this is like literal and there's not a trick, which is not the best assumption, but technically every Pokemon can struggle, which is sort of a move.
Oh.
Ironically, you're the only one who didn't struggle with this question.
Whoa!
That
was
Congratulations.
I thought struggle was gonna be like you're gonna be like, oh, it's not a move.
I also did
It
not
is.
think
It
it was
use
a
struggle.
move.
It has to. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't. You
It
can't.
definitely doesn't use bag though.
You can't pick struggle, but you can pick a bag.
You the trainer pick bag.
Oh, but the Pokemon pick
If you
struggle.
got-
Okay.
Pokemon uses
Iron
struggle.
Hands probably could though. He's got big old
Yeah, he's got big
hands.
hands.
Pick my bag all day. Wait, never mind.
Let's do Where's Why Not for Great Ball.
Where's why not? And don't say right there.
Wait, what is this?
Left there.
What the hell is the joke here? Is that Hugh Jackman right there? Right? Yeah, it's Javert and Jean Valjean are on the cover of the right.
What?
I just want to
movie is
clarify. Hugh
this?
Jackman is nowhere in this picture.
This is Les Mis. This is the movie Les Mis. Les Miserables. Hold on. What are some songs from Les Mis?
Sicko mode.
Sicko
Yeah, I
Mode? Is
love that
what
one.
you- Yeah, I got nothing.
Is that a pass? You always reserve the right to pass.
Yeah, I might have to pass. It is Jean Valjean, right? I'm not like missing up.
I can't tell you anything.
If anybody's watching this, you could take away my musical theater card.
Well, hey, hold on. Did you say if anybody's watching this? Do you assume nobody watches these?
I heard y'all fell off. Sorry.
You're not wrong, but like, come on,
No,
dude.
No. Yeah, there's definitely a Les Mis joke here that I do not know.
You just say there's a lame ass joke here? What the heck?
No.
You better answer sooner. I'm gonna keep ripping on you.
Shannon,
What?
please.
What? It's not my
Anybody?
turn.
No, I'll pass. I'll pass.
Shannon's like, I'm really enjoying the suffering. See, it's on to you.
I'm just gonna say in Kalos because I see a French flag.
Oh, no.
Why not is in a coat?
You say a cult?
Exactly
Probably.
what he said.
A coat.
I'm really
See?
sorry, guys. Mostly to Arlie.
Better be.
He's in Tom Hooper's film adaptation
oh
of Les
my
Miserables.
God.
Oh, she said that.
What?
It's fine. Honestly,
She said that she didn't lock it in, though.
I got too overwhelmed by my knowledge.
You were
and I just-
directly on top of it. You were like, where's the answer? I can't see it.
I want to do what it do, Master Ball.
God.
Oh God.
I got the first one
Jesus.
really easily, so.
Didn't learn your last time last
No.
time, did ya?
Didn't you learn
say-
your last time?
I'm sorry, I'm really drunk.
It gotta be when you're doing these.
See, can you tell me what it do, who do this, do what the... Hold on. Who do this?
Who do this? Okay.
Who do all of this?
Okay, hold on. Let me cook. Okay, flying press is Halucha's signature move. It definitely gets fly. It does not get surf.
I think I might know what it is.
Oh, is it Golurk?
Are you locking in those lyrics?
Yes.
Can you call me Wayne Brady?
I don't know who that is.
Just call me Wayne Brady.
Is it the football guy?
Wayne Brady, please.
Tom Brady, please.
You're annoying me. No, it's not. Shannon.
So my guess is Buzzwole.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because I know.
But no, this is not his moveset. Arlie.
Aw.
Y'all remember Pikachu Libre?
Oh gosh.
I think he can learn flying press. I don't know about the other ones, but I've been thinking about him. So that's what it do, Pikachu Libre.
What an incredible answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
He do.
That's why I know Arlie is blown past us.
I just
Wow.
truly pulled that out of my ass. This is
You
amazing.
can sit back. I don't think anyone else is going to get another question right. So, like,
Let's do Metronome Ultra Ball.
what's he doing?
Oh god. I don't know Breaking Bad.
I also don't know Breaking Bad.
Don't know the name of the guy on the left. The guy on the right is Gus. Call Gus. Gus Call. Is one of those a drug lord and is Gus Lord?
Gus Lord, that's really good. No, it's not.
They're just talking on their pokey gear.
You think this is also a non-joke question, hey?
I don't know anything after that lame is. I can't trust anything anymore.
The guy on the right is Gustavo Fring, and the guy on the left is named Mike. It's definitely like Ring. I think Ring is in there. I'm just gonna go with Mega Ring.
I'm sorry. Their phones were on silent. But he does. Foon Gus.
That's good. Okay.
No.
Dude, these are
Mike.
so hard.
Arlie, you're up next.
I'll do what's happening for Pokeball. Keep it chill.
What's happening?
Got it.
What?
What?
Oh,
Got it.
Shannon.
Is that a pizza
Holding
pan?
Yeah, that's what is it a paddle?
Okay, just put a little bit of popcorn to pop, so I should gonna have to run back to grab it in a minute. You know what? Let me just go. Let's go wait for it until it finishes.
A mini paddle?
Oh, I think I actually know what it is.
What? What is happening?
I actually think I know what it is.
Hold mini paddle, mini. He's holding a mini oar?
Oh, we've done it!
Oh, that's not
It's a mini oar!
my mind was going.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm gonna play this a bit smarter. I'm not gonna pick a Master Ball.
Good move.
I'm gonna go Ultra Ball. What's happening?
What's happening?
Okay, I can't tell if that tree is being uprooted or planted.
They're actually gonna just drop it on that guy.
Gosh.
What's happening? Murder!
That guy in the back, he's like waving hello, and that tree is like a giant seed. He's saying hello seed. So I'm gonna say Pharaoh seed.
Furrow seed? He looks like he's furrowing a seed at it. But no, that's incorrect.
No, they are moving that tree somewhere. They shift tree. Shift tree.
Oh, that's really good. That's
You better not. Don't you say it. Don't you say it.
Nah, I use that one. It's shift tree.
That's a good one.
And that's 3 points.
3
for
points.
Shannon.
Sorry, 3 ticks.
Yeah, so we don't use points here. You don't even know what these are worth.
That's not me,
No,
Peter.
you're good,
That's not
Peter.
me.
You're good, Peter. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no!
Now you can't change
It's
it.
permanent. You already clicked.
It is permanent. I actually can't undo that. I don't know how to undo it. So we're
Well,
gonna
I
go
guess-
minus
I guess
3.
Just remember.
We're gonna have exponents in a minute too. I'm gonna make more mistakes. This is gonna be actual complicated math.
let's see. I don't want to do dad descriptions because I'm embarrassed.
By your
go
own
metronome.
father? Shocking.
Let's go metronome Pokeball. I'm just gonna play it easy.
Which disguised mom is fake?
There's so many layers here.
There's so much going on.
Okay, so that's Norman, and it's which disguised? What's a disguised?
My gosh, I made a spelling mistake.
Uh-oh.
So Norman's, of course not a mom, but the one on the end also isn't a mom. It's like a gym leader. I forget whose name it is, but I'm going with Norman anyway because this guy is this guy.
All of the disguised moms are real.
What?
Peter?
She is
Peter,
a.
I'm gonna.
In her lore, she is a mother.
Yeah, she has a
Yeah,
son.
like Gordy or whatever. The
She has a son, yeah.
ground type.
Shannon, you still there?
Shannon
Yes.
doesn't know the lore.
Shannon only played Shield.
Your ignorance
I'm a
is showing.
fraud.
Ah.
I will never be choosing Where's Why Not Again. I'm gonna go dad descriptions here for Ultra Ball.
Here's where it really gets interesting.
I'm excited.
Oh no.
This little fucker looks like a startled toenail to me.
What? Togepi?
Togepi.
No, if it were Togepi, he would mention the egg. Could it be Stunfisk?
It could be. See, what do you got for us?
Okay, this is the first Pokemon that popped into my head as soon as I heard Toenail. Shelmet.
That is not correct. Shannon, what did your father see?
Wimpod.
God, what do you think, his toes are mangled? Good gracious. No, he saw Lunatone.
What?
Oh,
okay.
I guess I see it, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Your toenails don't have eyes?
That's why he was startled. It came to life all of a sudden. It was like, no!
Lunatone is not giving startled to me, but I don't know.
Hold on.
Oh, now I see it.
Now everything's changed.
Now it has an eyebrow.
You just gave it another hole.
Yeah, I guess any of those could have been its surprised mouth.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick What It Do, Quick Ball.
What it do?
That's a mental herb. No, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. No, wait. It's a pretty wing, and it doesn't do anything, you just sell it.
Oh.
Okay, can you call me Wayne Brady real quick?
Okay, Wayne Brady.
Pretty Feather does literally nothing. Only purpose is to be sold. He nailed it.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Okay, here's how you're gonna do the tallies. You see next to the 3?
Okay.
So you're gonna go to the left of the 3.
Yeah.
And you're gonna make a line vertically right where you are right now. Right there. Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Yep.
Now put the other 2 under the 5 tally. There you go.
Okay.
Now I'm winning.
I'm actually so impressed by that.
That was really smart.
Deserved.
Yeah. Congratulations.
You fool, you could have put 2 ticks over mine like an X. Now I have no points.
No points for Shannon. Oh my gosh. All right, Shannon, you're up next.
Where's Why Not Master Ball?
God.
Oh, jeez.
You sick SOB. Where's Why Not?
Oh, God, geography. Somalia.
Why Somalia? What gave you that
I
inclination?
don't know. That's just the first country that came to mind.
Okay. All right.
It's gonna be embarrassing to get this wrong. Is it Kenya?
It's Chad.
It's Kenya.
Oh,
my God.
Gettable.
Somalia's right next to it.
I know. That's why I was like, wow.
Can I have a point?
Guys,
Can you
have a
give
point?
me a point, Peter?
I think so.
You think a
Why
point?
Not's ear is slightly in Somalia. I think that's worth a point.
Is it?
It's more so in the
I
ocean.
don't know about that. All right, Shannon, you can have 1 point. Where's it going?
Where's it going? Put it on the O in my name so it says Shannon. There we go.
I will do Where's Why Not for Ultra Ball. I'll be brave.
Where's Why Not?
Is this Mirage Island?
No,
I can't remember what it looks like.
that's X and Y.
X and Y is Mirage Island?
Yep.
I thought Mirage Island was also in Hoenn.
Nope.
I believe so.
You're wrong.
Okay. My guess is Mirage Island.
The gaslighting didn't work. See, it's Mirage Island.
You were tricking us.
SMH.
My gosh.
The confidence was there for sure.
Yes, I believe
was
you because you're so
awesome.
confident.
Okay, I've been pretty good at the What It Do, so I'll just do Ultra Ball.
Can you tell me what it do? Who do this?
Okay, there's a lot of Pokemon that do this.
There's actually not a lot of Pokemon that do this exactly.
Okay, hold on. I know Swampert does. That's for sure. I'm almost certain Bibarel does. And I think Lining does. I know Swampert does because I use this exact moveset on my Swampert every time I pick it in Ruby and Sapphire. So I'm gonna say Swampert.
I actually wasn't aware that Swampert could do this.
Swampert can learn Cut?
I didn't think he could learn Cut.
I
Yeah.
just played through the game.
I'm pretty sure it gets cut.
I respect you deeply and know that you know much more about Pokemon than me, which is why I'm like, he could be right.
Hold on.
But no, I'm almost 100% sure.
It does not get cut. I was wrong. It
Does not get
Okay,
cut.
good. Yeah.
It does not get strike. Or it does not get cut.
That'd be a crazy plot twist if it didn't get strength.
It doesn't get straight there. Yeah, Cut's not even the one in contention anymore.
It's so weak. I'm gonna steal Linoon.
Gosh, you picked the loser of the 2 that got this, but you did get it right.
Yeah.
I said
Why?
Oh, Bibarel,
I said all of
my boy.
I said 3 Pokemon, 2 were right, and I give the wrong one.
You battened down the hatches in the wrong one.
You had a Les Mis moment. It happens.
I
to the
gave
best of
all
us.
the answers, and I said the wrong thing.
Shannon.
That is neat. Was that 3 points? Let me see how.
It was 1.
No, I want to. Peter, no, I wanted to put them in places.
I'm sorry. We're burning daylight, and by burning daylight, I mean it's been night here for like 2 hours.
I'm not doing dad descriptions. Let's go. What's happening, Nasserall?
What's happening?
Oh, jeez. Joey. Pointing at a Joey. Kangaroo. I'm getting hints of Oktoberfest from this man. He's a tan man, a tan background, and a tan Joey.
God, he's so close.
It might be about Joe. Joe Mama.
Joe Mama. Yeah, you did it.
I can't
you got
believe
me.
this. I cannot believe this, Shannon.
You say these things with such confidence that I
Yeah,
think
his
you're making a real
confidence is
point.
scaring me.
This is Finizen.
Arlie, you're up.
No, okay.
Go. God, no.
Shannon mentioning Oktoberfest has me thinking, and I just do not know what I'm thinking about.
It got me thinking about all kinds of stuff.
Shannon was saying tan a bunch, and then Peter was like, "It's so close." So now I'm like, okay, this tan.
I thought he was being sarcastic.
Okay, that's true. You can't trust anybody here. Tan growth. Tan growth. This baby will be growing. And he's pointing at his tan body, and he's like, tan will grow.
Oh my god, that's awful.
I thought you were going to say that's right.
I did too, and I was like, oh my god.
See, please dig us out of the hole that we are so far in.
Okay. When Shannon was saying tan, you kept saying that's close.
This is just what I said.
Tandem, they're a unit, tandem mouse.
No, it's none of those. Guys, this is a German man, which you figured it out. You said Oktoberfest. And it's not a kangaroo. It's a wallaby. So he would say, Das ist a wallaby.
Oh my god.
That's good.
Let's
Is this Melton all right?
let's all vote that it's Meltan.
No, I think it's Maridon.
I don't want to.
It's a wallaby. You were supposed to get close that it was a kangaroo and be like, oh, kangaroo, I can't. And then I go, no, it's not a kangaroo. Oh my god, you strayed so far from the path. Sorry, who thought I'd be the one getting upset?
Because Shannon won't do it, I'm going Dadscriptions quick ball.
Goodness gracious, I'm so excited. Thank you for picking these.
I love this category.
I had a really good time chatting with Shannon's dad.
Oh, I think I'd be wearing a mask too if I had my little titties out like this.
What?
Okay, so a mask, immediately I'm like, your mask. But last time I checked, I don't think your mask has,
Whoa, what a knockout!
I'm going Ogre Pond.
That is not what I showed Shannon's father.
I have a feeling that this Pokemon's not actually wearing a mask, it just looks like it might be a mask.
I have an idea now.
So, the little titties are throwing me off.
I love that statement out of context.
I know it.
I bet Shannon knows it.
I'm gonna guess Curlia, because it kind of looks like it's wearing a mask.
Peter, may I? Peter, may I?
You may. I'm sorry, Steve.
That is incorrect. The correct answer is Nuzleaf.
Wait, okay, I had a different one.
Oh, what was yours?
Is Nuzleaf correct?
I'm not gonna tell you till I hear yours.
My thought was cast form.
Oh no.
I can tell confidently that one of you is correct.
I think it's cast form.
Oh,
and that no one is getting points.
No. That's okay. Look at those little titties out. Wow.
That's why he wears the mask, so no one knows his identity.
It's bigger than its body. I wouldn't call those little. Nuzleaf's just got a little. Anyway,
please
my
stop. I'm
hubris.
gonna move on.
We gotta get out of this category.
Yeah, get out of here.
No wonder Shannon didn't want to pick this category.
I've been doing pretty good at what it do, so I'll do what it do Great Ball.
What it do?
Okay, I'm just gonna say Hidden Power. That's all it does.
Okay, but really quickly, could you just say Wayne Brady?
Wayne Brady. What is Hidden Power?
There we go, Hidden Power.
Beautiful.
Damn, that was good. Metronome quick ball. Let's go.
Best non-legendary
Oh, no.
Gen 2 Pokemon as voted on Ranker.com as of February 2025.
Oh.
I think I know what this is.
Gen 2, I think Umbreon is like the top ranked.
We think Umbreon is on there. Okay, I'm gonna let everyone take a guess, and the higher you are, the more points you take away.
I will guess Mareep, but not for any logic. It's just my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon, and that's what I would vote on Ranker.com in February 2025.
They only asked Arlie.
And it's Mareep, baby.
Okay, if I can't guess Umbreon, I'll just go Espeon.
Number 5 is Espeon. So
there
you
we go.
Espeon that board, baby. Number 4
Ladybug.
is, now do you pronounce that Scizor or Scizor?
That makes
Scizor.
sense.
Number 3
Oh.
Typhlosion.
Interesting.
Gracious. Number 2 is, say it with me, folks.
SBI.
Tyranitar.
Oh, that's how we said.
Oh, I am not.
Number
My ass is
1.
not on the board.
If it's not Umbreon, I'll be surprised.
Is Umbreon!
Let's go.
Guys,
Give me
Mareep
those
was 6.
points.
Mareep was, dude, he was so close.
He was so close.
So close.
It's the Mareep is in the Tyranitar's stomach.
Shannon, you get all 3 points for that one. But as a bonus prize, we're going to
I
let
get 4
C
points.
add 1 more point in a way that's not just a tick.
Okay, hold up. Let me go. Okay, put it in between the 3 and the plus.
Oh, wow. He's running away with it? Why didn't you make it 31?
That's what I was gonna ask, but I wasn't gonna say it.
That would have been unfair.
Too late.
That would have been unfair.
That you're right. No,
Yeah,
I
that
respect
too
that.
unfair.
Guys, I haven't picked a Master Ball yet, and there's only 1 Master Ball left.
Ooh.
And I just gotta go for it.
That is so
I'm going dad
dangerous.
descriptions.
All I got for this one just looks like a crackhead.
Jesus Christ.
Good luck.
I'm gonna go with Garbodor here.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna throw a wild guess. Grafify.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
No. Shannon!
I'm gonna say Zerkatry.
No!
No.
I showed him this
I'm
guy!
shocked. What?
Trappin! He's got a crack in his head!
Okay, so he's
Oh
making
my
jokes.
God.
I'll go what's happening. Great Ball.
What's happening?
Okay. Seal. Wait, Seal Otter.
It's
There's also a spiral on the small otter. I don't know what that's about. If that's like just through Discord or
I think that's.
It's a watermark.
just a watermark. I didn't know that one.
Okay.
There's also a small house in a circle on the bottom right if you want to hit that up too.
wait, hold on. Okay, so I know I can get there, but I'm just gonna say Oshawott?
I'm so
Oscar,
sorry.
what's happening?
I don't know.
You're gonna be upset when you hear the answer. This one I'm certain about. Shannon.
That's just a seal.
There's 3 of them.
That arrow's pointing to a seal.
That arrow is not technically pointing to a seal in the
It's
sense
pointing
of
to
this
a watermark.
Yeah, get off my back with a watermark. Arlie.
I think this seal is using Screech to lower the tiny seal's defense.
Guys, the one on the left goes, or. The one in the middle goes, or. And then the one on the right gives a mini, or.
No way.
Got him.
We got Mini-Ord again. Get Mini-Ord.
Get Mini-Ord, nerd.
Let's save that where's why not. So let's do Metronome Great Ball.
Can you tell me the Pokemon best suited to eat him in a fight?
Oh my god, this is so easy.
You're obsessed with eating Pokemon, Peter.
You're the guy who said he would eat Mr. Mime.
This isn't about me.
It's obviously Miraidon.
Oh, sorry. That's I missed a letter in there. That's my bad.
What?
What?
That's a clue.
Is it?
So there's no
Red
B.
herring.
I don't know. Inteleon kind of looks like he's wearing a suit, or maybe I'm just imagining it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
No,
there.
he's not the guy that I'm thinking of.
I'm
So
just thinking off of like Alchemy is Gen 8, and then I think to my least favorite Gen 8, Freakazoid, which is Mr. Rhyme. I hate him. And so I think he's best suited. I think he's wearing a suit. I know he's got a cane.
That is such a solid answer, and it's not what I picked.
That's okay. He doesn't deserve to eat.
It's no, but I really like that answer. I may give you points if C
let's
doesn't
go.
get it right
Okay,
now. C, what do you got for me?
I thought this was so easy, but you guys are really making me second guess it. Okay, this is Alcremie ice cream. You eat ice cream with a spoon. Alakazam has 2 spoons. It's Alakazam.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Arlie. You got it.
He's eating that thing.
Yeah, he's all up in that business. I'm sorry that was only 1 point. That was a big steal. I'm just gonna put it.
That was a big psychic type, actually.
Wait, put it next to the 3.
Ha.
Put it next to 3.
No, I gotta keep it down here because otherwise I'm actually gonna forget what your points are. Yeah, 1. I remembered for now. Guys, this is the final question. In the final round, we're all going to go in together on this question. You're all going to render an answer as quickly as you can. So tell me, where's why not?
Mirage Island.
Minior.
Labyrinth Sound. Labyrinth City. The egg. The hot spring.
daycare with two
Dude.
Boba Fett's doing it.
Yeah, it's in Lava Ridge Town in the egg. That's where he is in that game. And technically also Mirage Island, because he's the only one that appears on Mirage Island. Wow!
Dude, that time I gave all the answers and actually locked in a correct one.
This was like the only one that's like really like, here you go, here's a Pokemon fact. That's 3 points, dude.
Huge.
I'm pretty sure I won.
Massive swing. That's
Just
a
put the
massive.
three
That's
behind the three.
Wait, actually,
Yeah, even with
the cheating points, I might have won. Hold on.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
You
anymore.
triumphed above 2 of the worst Pokemon YouTubers I have ever had the displeasure of inviting on this quiz. How did you do it?
Wait, am I one of the worst ones?
No, you triumphed over the 2
actually
worst
won? I thought you were
ones,
messing
which
with me.
makes no man. You won. Even if we take away, even if we minus 13 off that equation, you still got 12 points, which beat Shannon's 11 points and Arlie's 10.
Very close
Congratulations, sir.
Oh, okay.
Guys, what if I told you there was a bonus question?
This would not surprise me.
What if I had clicked the Premier Ball and there was a bonus question? Wouldn't that be cool?
Okay, what if you clicked it and nothing happened?
No, nothing happened. Sorry.
I
It was a great
didn't
quiz,
see a
everyone.
message just
Thank you
now.
so much for playing.
Hope you
I
got
hope
enough.
you had fun.
It-
I know I did.
It takes
Thank you for watching and subscribe
It
for more
takes a lot.
ridiculous Pokemon videos.
It's more than you would think.
I made a Pokemon quiz and then gave over 50,000 people the ability to edit it. What did you guys create with unrestricted access? Let's take a look.
Can I say this is a horrible idea?
You can't say it, and it would be true, because it
And
is.
can I just say, if you're awarding points, Shannon, then I think it's a great idea.
Here we go.
You might have to. Good lord.
Yo, this looks like my old MySpace page.
This is every website in the early 2000s.
Peter in the top left.
Yo, I look good.
Why are your eyes?
Peter, you look fantastic.
Why is ChatGPT next to you?
Because this screen is making my computer get very hot. So, Peter, how about you? Peter, I've made a quiz just for you to test your Pokemon knowledge. Think you can handle it?
Shannon, I have no idea. I'm a wild card.
Okay, well, as an incentive, if you can score 75%, I will give you $50.
Really?
Yes.
Now we're talking.
All right, choose a category.
I'm gonna go with the only logical place to start, and that is a Gen 2 fake one.
Yes, the best place to start. Which of these Pokemon is fake?
Okay, so Teddy Ursa looks normal. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see anything.
Kind of blends
wrong
into the background.
Teddy Ursa looks like just a crescent moon and some eyes. It's
He's
very unnerving.
perfectly camouflaged, just like a bear.
Just like a bear would be on an orange background. Hitmontop, I don't think I've ever really fixated on the tail. It's almost concerning to me.
Oh, he's
but-
twisted all around. That's not the tail.
Big old pretzel boy over here. I feel like Ladyball has a lot more legs than that.
That is correct. Ladyball has 6 arms.
I hadn't even locked in. Thanks.
Congratulations, you got your first question correct. Now choose a second one.
Thanks, Shannon. It's weird to take 2 turns in a row. We usually have friends to play these with.
Yeah, no, we don't have friends anymore because of these quizzes.
Yeah, this is why we're doing them by ourselves. Everyone was like, it's a new year, new me, no more delicious James.
Yeah.
Can I go with, who's that Pokemon for Gen 4?
For this category, you're going to see a series of pictures that represent a Pokemon. Tell me who this Pokemon is.
Oh my god, Shannon, what am I looking at here? Hold on. You think I know geography? I barely know Pokemon.
I'm testing you on all fronts.
Gen 4, is Spiritomb in Gen 4? I feel like it's got to be Spiritomb because he's made up of so many ghosts.
Well, this is 108 ghosts in a rock. So this is Spiritomb.
That's incredible.
Good job.
In a rock? Oh my
God.
gosh. Now, I'm going to pick the next logical choice, which is Pokeparts Gen 7.
Which Pokemon does this part belong to?
Oh, that's, is it Sandile?
Yeah, my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon, Sandile.
Isn't that it?
No, it's Crabominable's bra.
Shannon, I barely know the Pokemon, let alone what gen they came in. There's some gens I don't even think I've played.
That's okay.
But I don't know enough about Pokemon to be certain.
Well, the second half may be a little harder for you.
Little hard. I'm already at 76%. Wait, no, 67%. I'm even lower.
Well, you're good at math at least.
The second time. You can edit that in, right? And now I'm going to go for Pokeparts Gen 1 because I am hella up to date on Gen 1.
Which Pokemon does this part belong to?
Shit. It looks froggy.
It looks like
Poliwhirl's eye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
no,
this is
it's,
Paris's eye.
Shoot.
Just one of them.
Just one. Thanks, Shannon. I thought it was both.
Sitting at 50%, Peter.
I don't want to dip down below 50. I got to pass to stay on the channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I go with who's that Pokemon? Gen 1? I got to pad these points early.
Who's that Pokemon?
Crappy?
They are all upset. They are all crabby.
Oh, thank goodness. Can I go Pokeparts Gen 2? I got to get something out of Pokeparts.
Which Pokemon does this part belong to?
Shannon, I'm going to lock this one in on Quillfish immediately.
Yeah, you got it. Good job.
Oh, God, I've kissed so many Quillfish. I know that mouth.
Wrong end.
Oh, yeah, go back. There's no eyes. Tails on that side. Shit. Oh, remember the Pokemon butthole category we used to do?
You used to. Once.
We did it twice.
No, it was just the once. You did it once.
I do it in private. I've got a whole separate YouTube channel. It's just me trying to find the best mouths to make look like Pokemon butts. It's doing very poorly. All right, who's that Pokemon? Gen 2, please. I'm getting concerned. I'm running out of Gens 1 through 3.
Okay, let's see if you can sweep Gen 2. This is the only mono dark type in Gen 2.
Isn't that Umbreon?
Oh, wow, Peter, it is Umbreon.
Hell yeah, it's my wife's favorite Pokemon. It's the only reason I had any idea at all. Oh my god, Shannon, is this going well for me?
It is. It's going so well, I've been forgetting to update your total. You're at 5.
Oh my god, it did good. Blah, 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 blah. Hold on, let me take that again. Wow, it is going well for me.
Real excited.
Sorry, I got possessed by a dead rapper. I would like Fakemon for Gen 3. We're gonna venture into Gen 3 territory and hope I can remember.
Which shiny Pokemon is fake? Your favorite type of question.
I feel like it's Glalie. His eyes don't seem right to me.
It is Glalie.
Man, that one was actually like 50% a guess. I was like, I'm just going on vibes, and it didn't give me the right one.
Don't tell people that, Peter. Make them think you're smart.
Shannon, I would never lie about that. I know nothing. Except for that I know nothing. That's something I definitely know. Okay, let's just try this out. I'm gonna go Gen 6 Fakemon.
Which shiny Pokemon is fake?
Oh, no.
They're not all shinies. Just, I think about half of them are shinies.
What?
The questions, I mean.
I was like, half of these aren't shinies? Only one of these should not be a shiny.
Sorry,
I don't know. They could all be not shiny, and I'd probably pick the wrong one. Okay, I'm gonna go with Hawklucha purely because I don't know the third one's name.
Man, you're trusting your gut, and it is paying off. Hawklucha shiny is fake.
Oh my god, dude. I prayed to the Shepsky dad god before I sat down for this.
You're doing really good, Peter.
Shannon, I'm thoroughly pleased with myself. So I'm gonna...
Until we get up into this square.
Until we get... Oh, buddy. I feel like Gen 8 needs to be approached, just so I can see how far I have to fall. Let's go Gen 8 Pokeparts.
Which Pokemon does this part belong to?
Oh... Well, here's the thing. It's someone's butt, right?
I can't give you any more hints than I've already given you.
It's gotta be someone's butt.
I'm surprised you don't already know it. You know all their butts
Here's
so
the thing,
well.
man. I edit the butts with mouths, so I don't really focus on the butts. Is it like Obstagoon?
No, this is Thievul's tail.
Oh, it looks like a big bag.
Yeah, it's like that's where he stores all the stuff he steals, I assume.
It's not even where his butthole goes.
I mean, it could be.
It
could be very big.
Yes.
It's a tube, man. It's a tube.
Dude, Pokeparts is destroying me. Okay, let's drop it back. Pokeparts Gen 3.
Okay, let's see if you can redeem yourself. Which Pokemon does this part belong to?
Yeah, see, my problem is that this is not a mouth that I have used on an animal's behind. So I don't...
You're really going hard into that joke.
Just leaning in. It's what, you know, it's kind of my forte, Shannon. I have literally no idea. This category is demolishing. Is it like Phoebus's weird mouth?
This is Loudred's mouth.
Oh, I was never gonna get that.
Like,
He's
his whole
got a
thing
square
is about
mouth. I
screaming.
couldn't picture a square mouth the round way you would cut it out.
That's specifically why I did it that way.
Like, I order all my Pokemon knowledge based on the shape of their mouth, Shannon.
I'll keep that in mind.
Who is that Pokemon? Gen 3.
Who's that Pokemon?
Oh, it's Dell. Yeah, it's Michael Dell from Dell Computers.
Sure, I know who that is.
No, it's Dell Caddy.
This is a bunch of cats and a Dell computer. You're absolutely right. This Dell is catty.
Who's that Pokemon is going exceedingly well for me. We're gonna go with Gen 5. Who is that Pokemon?
Just going in order now.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, who's that Pokemon?
Okay, he's looking. Look, money. See, my mind just jumps to money. Look at the money! But I know it's not that because there's nothing Scottish about this one. It can't be swaddle because that's a dollar bill, not a waddle. Maybe it's a waddle money for some people, but it doesn't seem.
It's a flittle bit of money.
It's a flittle bit. Oh, that's very good, Shannon. Okay, I'm gonna go with Swana because you see it and you want to take it. Swana.
Oh, that's good. He's Sawsbuck.
Oh shoot, that is good. Let's venture onto the rift. Gen 9, Fakemon.
Which?
He also feared that the smithing workshops could have similar agreements. Another option was leaving this city and finding one without that many scribes. Maybe in a place where his class was rare, the shop owners would be more lenient. Still, he had no idea if they wouldn't just give him similar contracts or where a city like that existed. He also considered moving to a city with a dungeon and just doing scribe work on the side. That option would probably slow his leveling down as crafting classes gain less experience by slaying monsters. Is there a place I can sell my items in here? Roland had access to his debugging skill, so he could probably upgrade those runic spell scrolls to the highest rating. He thought back to the prices those went for, and they overshadowed the regular spell scrolls. The problem was that no one was willing to buy them if they could get something cheaper in bulk that wasn't that much worse. How much better were the highest versions of those runic spells? Was the biggest question. If he managed to get that fire arrow spell to be a lot more powerful than the competition, he might be able to somehow do it. The construction materials weren't that costly. Maybe if he bundled them 10 apiece, he could manage to scrape by. There was another problem besides that. How would he explain that a boy of not even 11 was selling and producing runic spell scrolls at the highest rank? Would the people try to get his secrets? Would they get violent? He wasn't sure how the businessmen around here reacted to the unwanted competition. He didn't think he would affect their bottom line with some scrolls, so he mostly thought it would be safe in that regard. Was there a place that he could sell his stuff without attracting attention, while still earning enough to get by and while leveling up? He didn't think there was such a convenient place in the regular stores or shops. Should he try peddling it out in the market while hiding his face behind his robe hood? He remembered that there was one type of place that he could sell items like that. Such a place was an auction house. He could probably remain somewhat anonymous. The auction houses probably kept the seller's name secret. This was probably one of the better options out on the table. I should head back to the inn. I'll try to scribe some regular spells first. I'll think about it later. He had enough for today. He couldn't make up his mind, and the sun had already gone down. He could still work for an hour or two on his scroll making. Then at least this day wouldn't be a total waste. Roland hopped down from the bench he was sitting on. It was nicely made from some kind of metal, probably fashioned in place by some kind of smith or artisan. He took out an apple from his storage bag and bit into it. It was nice and sweet and worth the coin that he paid for it. He wasn't in a hurry as he just walked forward. He looked at the people going back and forth. In the middle of the road there were horse carriages passing by. Some of them were even pulled by some large ox-looking creatures. The people chatted with each other, and they looked to be going to the taverns for some alcohol. People in this world sure like to drink. He attributed this feature to them not having any TV or internet here. There weren't that many places for people to spend their free time. There were some theaters, but those were mostly occupied by the rich merchants and nobles, while the commoners liked louder places like casinos or the aforementioned taverns. There was also the red light district where men liked to spend their coins on the various ladies of the diverse races. Before his mind could wander to strange places, he got brought back into reality. He heard someone ringing a loud bell, and this person wasn't part of the Sun Church. After glancing towards the direction of the noise, he noticed quite the curvy elf lady. She wasn't the same one that he saw last time, and she was even more beautiful. She was clearly dressed to show off and to pull in the attention of the crowds. She had something akin to those Chinese dresses with a lot of leg space. She was ringing that bell in front of a large gate. Above it, a picture of a scale. Gather up, good people of Edelgard. The Libra auction house will be opening in half an hour. Be sure to bring your purses, as we will be having a grand auction today. She continued talking while Roland spaced out for a moment. He didn't realize that there was this kind of establishment in the area. He inched forward together with the small group of people that was lured in by the bouncy elven girl. Step right in. The entrance fee is only 2 small silver, practically nothing. After hearing that they actually had to pay to get in, most of the people dispersed while grumbling. Roland and a few others remained. Some of them even paid the price and went in. He was hesitant as he didn't want to buy anything from there. He would rather sell his scrolls there, but he didn't even have any items to show. He was just looking for an auction house to sell his wares, and one popped out. He was surprised that they were taking entrance fees. He thought that the more buyers the better. Why would you limit your earning potential? This was just a way to out people that were only there to window shop. If someone actually paid a small entrance fee, they would be more inclined to spend more inside. It would feel like a waste to partake in the auction, pay an entrance fee, and not get anything in return. It was also a strategy to keep the poor out and attract the rich. He pulled out the map of the area and made sure to mark it down. From what he knew of such places, they took in stock during the day and sold them later at night, just like now. He would return here another time with some items in tow. For now, he decided to return back to the inn he was staying at. He needed to test his scribing skills and in the morning go buy some of those runic spell scrolls that he saw. Back in his room, he pulled out one of the special scrolls made from monster skin. It had a yellow tint to it and was rough around the edges. He placed the inkwell that he bought from the store on his small table along with a new quill. He was already a couple of large silver coins per after buying some of these supplies. I hope this pays off. He grumbled under his nose, hoping for the best. First, he needed to practice. He would be focusing on runic spell scrolls, but he wanted to at least go through the process of scribing a regular spell scroll. His aim was his mana arrow spell, the strongest attacking spell that he had. His basic mana scribing skill was at L1, so he wasn't expecting any grand results. He also wanted to check how much experience he would get from making one. Source of all magic, heed my call. The process of mana scribing was a bit different than the runic counterpart. The scribe had to write down the spell onto the scroll while focusing his mana on the quill and ink. There were no intricate lines or runic components to slow him down. He just needed to spell out the right incantation onto paper in the correct language while focusing. The mana arrow's incantation wasn't all that long or difficult, but putting ink to paper while focusing your mana was still difficult. After 10 minutes, he managed to get his first spell scroll, and he heard the notification. He rubbed his chin afterward. This amount of experience wasn't all that great. It also wasn't that bad either if you took into consideration that he could do it from the safety of his home. A warrior could probably hunt down monsters faster in a shorter span of time, but a scribe wasn't put into any danger while crafting. He could also do it continuously if he had the materials and mana. He tried identifying his own spell scroll, but besides getting its name, there weren't any further stats. Maybe if he leveled up his scribing skill, he would be able to examine the scrolls and get their rank and damage value. How much will I get from a simple runic spell? He was now curious. He needed to compare the two. The problem was that he only had the knowledge of 3 runes and 2 of them weren't really fit to be scribed down as they were made for weapons. He decided on the fire orb rune as it was also a lot easier to scribe down. He went through the motions while remembering his class change quests. This was already the 3rd time he was drawing this rune, so he had some practice. His fingers grasped the quill and his hand moved slowly. The intricate runic symbols started to slowly appear on the yellow scroll as they connected into one complete runic spell. It took him about 45 minutes to finish. This was already faster than before, but it still was a lot slower than with the regular scribing skill. He had gained more than double the experience, but needed a lot more time to do it. He quickly looked at the scroll before him and ran it through his debugging skill. To no surprise, he saw some red lines. It was one thing to know where the mistakes were and another to actually bring it to paper. Even if he didn't want it, his hands weren't steady, his mana control wasn't perfect, and his concentration wavered from time to time. He just couldn't redraw the perfect diagram at his current skill level. He would need to practice before he could actually sell any of these personally made goods. He came to a conclusion. Making runic scrolls wasn't optimal for gaining experience points. He could probably make 5 regular spell scrolls and gain 100 XP, while making one runic version gave him 50 XP. This wasn't a problem for him though, as he could just make some schematics to even it out. What he wanted at this time was to earn more gold, and he felt like the runic spells were the way to go. There was also another discovery that he made. His debugging skill wasn't working on the regular spell scrolls. There were no lines, he just couldn't see anything. This meant that runic spells and regular spells were different in some way or operated on different laws. How and why they were different, he could only speculate. Also, these runic spells didn't seem to mind that he didn't have any elemental affinities. The fire orb spell activated just fine even with his affinity for fire being at 0%, which made sense as the point of these scrolls was that anyone could activate them. It was a long way off, but he theorized that when he achieved the runesmith class, he could very well make himself equipment with various spell effects. The only problem with those was the high mana activating cost that skyrocketed their upkeep. Okay, I have decided. Roland nodded. He would practice making runic spells and increase his scribing skill for them. He would then scribe them down in a bundle of 10 for the auction. He was putting all of his eggs into one basket, but he believed that this was the best way if he didn't want to trap himself with that contract for 6 years. Thanks to his previous party members that had gifted him some golden coins, he would be okay even for half a year with no work. He would use this opportunity that they gave him well. With a new battle plan on his mind, he was reinvigorated. He just needed to power through this period and scribe like his life depended on it. It was a normal day like any other at the Libra auction house. It was the latter part of it, and the workers were carrying some of the items into the back for appraisal. In this world, with a game-like system, it was easy to tell an object's true worth. Though that was only if the person's identification skill was high enough, or if they had an enchanted item to help them out with it. Those items were costly though, and they required mana as any other runic equipment. That is why a person with a high identification skill was sought after, as he could appraise many items throughout the day without the need for mana. Percival was one of those people. He was the holder of a special non-combat analytic class that even had an appraisal skill included. His job was the identification of goods at this auction house. Not every item on the list made it to the showcase. There were rules put in place to not sell anything below a certain price. There was just not enough time for everything to be put out on stage. The Libra auction house was one of the largest ones in the city, and it had multiple stages where the items were being put up. They were all separated into ranks, so you wouldn't see a grand magic sword being auctioned before a lesser magic potion. Here, Mr. Percival, this is the last item from this batch. We still need to decide on the order of the items. A person brought in a certain item and placed it to the side at the entrance of Percival's office before leaving. There were already certain other products all separated by prices and labeled by the man's assistant, waiting for pickup. The appraiser was a busy person, so not like he had enough time to do such things himself. The assistant was a regular human by the name of Cynthia. Another one into the trash bin, and it goes. The girl shouted out in a cheerful voice while placing a metallic-looking statuette into a large tray with other various items. These were all products that were deemed unworthy for this auction house to sell them. Cynthia, how many times do I have to tell you to not be rough with those? If you break it, it will be deducted from your pay. Now bring me over that item. I want to go on my break. The man was a bit grumpy from all the long hours of appraising items and just wanted to be done with it. The girl slowly walked over to the item in question and picked it up. She was a bit confused as to what this was. It was rolled up with a couple of sheets of gray paper and tied together with string. I don't think this person is good at wrapping. She brought the item over to the grumpy old appraiser that looked at it with scorn. After he managed to get rid of the crude outer shell, he frowned even more. He had seen products like this before and knew that they weren't worth much. Even from the first glance, he could tell that the quality of the scroll parchment was the absolute lowest. Why would they make me appraise spell scrolls? They sell for almost nothing. Did this get through due to the packaging? I told them to look through the items before they bring them over here. What if there was a bundle of sticks in here? Percival the appraiser wanted to grasp the bundle of spell scrolls and toss them aside. Before he was able to do that, his lovely assistant grabbed one of them and took a look. Mr. Percival, these spell scrolls are strange. They only have a couple of large symbols on them. I thought you had to write a spell on these. The girl turned the spell scroll around to show it to the man whose eyes bulged slightly. He looked down to see that these items weren't simple spell scrolls. No, they were all runic spell scrolls, which were much harder to make. Give that back, you fool. Okay, the girl stuck her tongue out at the old man and went to the side. She was also waiting for him to finish up so she could take a break. The auction would be starting in a couple of hours, and she still had some other work to do. The appraiser fixed his glasses and placed one of the scrolls on the table so he could see it better. These are indeed runic spell scrolls. Which runesmith had enough time to make these? He was a bit baffled why anyone would make so many of these. Maybe a new runesmith was feeling bored, so he or she made them. He didn't want to speculate more, so he leaned up and started examining the item. His identification and appraisal skills activated, and you could see a faint blue glow in the man's eyes for a fraction of the second. One of his eyebrows moved up after reading through the information. He thought this was some beginner runesmith's work, but it was actually of a high grade. Even accomplished smiths mostly made items at the intermediate level, while high was a sign of talent and hard work. A regular intermediate fire arrow spell went for 2 to 4 small silver coins, but this was a runic spell scroll. They worked a bit differently than the regular ones. The biggest difference was the possibility of amplifying the spell. The user had the option of adding more mana into the scroll, which would increase the output to a certain extent depending on the rank. Interesting, I'd say this scroll could even go for up to 9 small silver coins. Not bad for a common spell scroll. The man almost made a mistake by crumbling up these. If the owner got wind of it, he might have to even apologize in person. These scrolls even had a little logo drawn in the corner. It looked like a red shooting star or a comet. There were more of those scrolls there, so he got to it going through them one by one. High, 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 highest. His eyebrow moved even higher as he saw that one of these scrolls was at the highest rating. This was something he didn't get to see often, an item with the highest rating. If the high-rated scroll could go for up to 9 small silver coins, then this one could even go for double, maybe even triple. The appraiser knew that a lot of the runesmiths were unwilling to sell spell scrolls below a certain price range. This was why they were placed in stores at exorbitant figures and never saw practical use. A highest-graded spell scroll could actually go for quite the sum, though. What did the highest rating mean? It meant that the spell was really close to jumping grades and going into a higher one. That would put this common spell scroll at half a step into the greater runic spell realm. By Solaria, who is this runesmith? Is he an advanced one? He mumbled to himself while finishing up with the appraisal. There were exactly 10 runic spell scrolls in this pile. 8 of them were at the high grade, while 2 of them were at the highest. There wasn't even one that was at an intermediate level, which told him that the person that was making them was quite the master. The man racked his brain. He couldn't imagine this being one of the runesmiths from the city. Most of them were grizzled men with some lesser magical aptitude that barely managed to become a mana scribe. Most of them preferred working with metals, and not scrolls. The only use for them was practicing their mana control. Are you finished, Mr. Percival? It's getting late. The man looked up. He had spent a bit too long inspecting these items. He coughed into his hand and then started writing down the appropriate pricing. The pricing was mostly there as a guide for the auctioneer to start off. They would use it to choose the minimum bidding price of the item. Take them and be careful, they are delicate. Also wrap them up with some high-quality string for the auction. Okay, are we going to sell these as a bundle or separately? The assistant asked while taking out some better-looking string and rolling up the sheets of monster skin. Why are you asking me? I'm just the appraiser. They would probably sell better as a bundle. The highest graded scrolls might make the buyers bid further. He added his opinion while standing up. The scrolls that he just appraised were slightly unusual, but nothing really that extraordinary. There were items in this auction that the minimum bidding price was a gold coin. The scrolls that could fetch a couple of small or large silver coins apiece didn't really matter. The assistant girl shrugged while the old man walked out. She opened the door and 2 more male workers walked in. They removed the tray of useless items from the room first. The other goods that were going to get auctioned out were spread out on larger tables by the prices. Some other people would come in and take a look at them. They needed to decide on the order of them appearing. This was something Cynthia was also partly responsible for. While this all was happening, Roland was standing outside the Libra auction house. He had handed over his workload that he had slaved on for months. He was wearing a robe and a face mask. His eyes looked bloodshot as if he didn't sleep for a couple of days. He was reaching a boiling point. He had burned through most of his cash on crafting materials and could fill a couple of books with his low and lesser crafted runic spells now. He was quite pedantic when it came to his work ethic, unwilling to go to the auction house without at least a full clip with high-grade runic spells. He had worked tirelessly till this point. He looked at his status screen that went up a couple of levels since the last time. The skill that went up the most was his basic rune scribing skill. It was at level 5. Also, his rune mastery leveled up slightly while his understanding of making the runic scrolls continued. It was at level 2. He had procured the runic fire arrow spell scroll from that shop. He still remembered the strange look the lady elf gave him after she brought it over. She even tried telling him that it wasn't worth it, and that he should just get one of the regular spell scrolls instead. He brought it back home and created a perfect schematic. It even gave him double the experience compared to the lesser rune schematics he made. He was still filled with anticipation and vigor at that point. This soon turned to despair after he noticed that scribing a common runic spell was a lot harder than the lesser variant. He failed and failed, losing more money in the progress of going through his resources. He even had to go back and practice on the fire orb rune as it was more manageable. He needed to level his scribing skill up to even be able to create his first fire arrow spell at the lowest subgrade, and this was already a full month after he obtained this item for practice. The 10 small gold coins that his party members had graciously given him started not to seem like such a big sum. He thought that it could even last him for 10 months, but he barely managed to last half a year while going through his crafting materials. He even had to dive into his adventurer savings just to scrape by. At this point in time, he was sitting on his last small silver coin. If he didn't manage to make a profit with these scrolls, he would have to go find himself a job. He was very stubborn as he got it into his head that he needed good branding with his first auction. This was why he was unwilling to sell the lower-rated scrolls, and why he placed a small logo on the scroll so that people would notice his brand. He also pretended to be a servant of some posh runesmith that made these runic spells. The disguise he was wearing was also part of his paranoia that had manifested itself slowly. It was partly due to the assassination attempt, and because he was worried that his father would find him and force him to go back. He had gotten a special plaque with a number. With this, he could return later to get his money. Apparently, his goods made it through the appraiser as he saw some other sellers picking up their items that didn't make it through. I should go in and check. They told me that the sellers can sit in the back during the auction if they wanted. He was quite nervous as a student before a big exam, waiting for his turn to enter. He felt butterflies in his stomach, but he steeled his resolve and went in. He needed to see how the auction house operated and how people reacted to his wares. He showed his plaque to the guard and was allowed to enter without paying an entrance fee. On the inside, there were a couple of corridors leading to different auction stages. There was a separate one for the more valuable items, and you had to be someone of higher status to participate in those. The one his items were being auctioned off looked like a small theater stage. There were your usual seats in the front, but there were some in the balconies for the richer people that were willing to pay a bit more. He was slightly surprised that his items were being hosted here as he expected them to be in the other auction stage, for the lesser and common items. This one was the one used for common and grand ones. He could see people coming in and sitting in the front. The auction block where the auctioneer would be standing was still empty, but you could see the large curtain wiggling a bit, which indicated that there was something being done behind it. The bidders were getting paddles handed out to them with numbers. How things worked here was that the auctioneer would call the bids, and the bidders would then move those numbered paddles up if they wanted to raise it. The highest bidder then would win. The auctioneer would sometimes extend the bidding if he noticed someone being unsure. If no one continued bidding, it would end after a count of 3. The rest of the exchange would happen in the back where the buyer would pay his coin to the auction house. The actual seller wouldn't really interact with the buyer in any way. They could even show up on another day to get their money. The auction house would bill him for the service. It was at 25% for now as he was a first-timer. If he started selling more, he could get a better deal and even go down to 10%. It's starting. He leaned back against the wall and looked at the stage that finally opened. To his surprise, instead of seeing some old no-nonsense man with a mustache, he saw a beautiful woman in a red dress. She was quite stacked in all the right places and was apparently the auctioneer. He figured that they were trying to appease the male carnal side with this lady. They were probably willing to spend more on the items with the beauty involved. This was one of the oldest tricks in the book. I would like to welcome you ladies and gentlemen to the Libra auction house. I will be your hostess for tonight. She even struck a pose and made some kind of weird duck face that Roland recalled girls doing from his university days. The male audience looked happy. Their female counterparts weren't that excited though. Soon the first item appeared on display. It wasn't much, just an accessory with a lower graded enchantment. We start the bidding at 5 small silver. He could see some people raising up those number paddles and the first auction ending in a few minutes. The experience wasn't very interesting, and the fact that he wasn't able to sleep well for the past few days was getting to him. After most of the common items were gone from the stage, Roland got concerned. Why weren't his scrolls showing up? He was sure that they should be among these common wares, but they were inching towards the greater ones by the looks of it. He was worried that he had entered the wrong auction stage, and that his items were getting sold in the other one. Now for the last of the common items of the night, we have something special. Just as he was about to ask someone about it, the lovely lady spoke out. We have a couple of runic fire arrow spell scrolls from an unknown master craftsman. What's so special about these runic spell scrolls, you might ask? Well, they are all mostly of the high grade. But that's not all, dear customers. 2 of them are even of the highest grade. The people started murmuring with each other while Roland started getting nervous. His scrolls were out on display, and the auctioneer lady was making quite the spectacle of it. 2 workers brought out 2 wooden boxes and placed them on the stage area where the light shone. We have put them in a set of 5 in each box. There are 4 scrolls at the high grade and 1 at the highest grade. We will be starting the bid for the first box at 3 large silver coins. Roland quickly started adding things up in his head. At this price range, he would be able to make a profit, and this was just the starting bid. The people started moving those paddles up. The moment Roland saw someone bid further, he felt his heart beating faster. He was finally seeing the fruit of his labor getting appreciated. It was like a large weight was lifted off his shoulders, and he could finally relax. The first box went for 4 large silver and 5 small silver, and the second one went for 4 large and 7 small. On his first attempt, he had managed to earn close to 1 small gold coin. Even if he deducted the auction house's pay cut, he would be able to recuperate his losses. Roland waited all the way until the end. He saw some finely crafted magical weapons and accessories be carried onto the stage that were sold for many gold coins. He was slightly envious, but he was just glad that he managed to sell his handcrafted wares. When he finally managed to get to his desired class, he thought that he would be able to produce even greater weapons. He was still tired. His sleep-resistant skills have even leveled up once in the half-year he was stuck scribing in his tiny room. The people even started giving him strange looks as he only showed up for 1 meal before locking himself back in it. The auction went deep into the night and ended close to midnight. He stayed and waited. He wasn't willing to leave without getting his money. The auction house only let the sellers pick up their share after the auctions were over and not during them. There were times where the buyers changed their minds and refused to pay. They would be reported to the city guards then. The auction house was a sanctioned business and had ways of getting people to pay up. Roland made sure to keep his hood and mask on. The mask looked like one of those that ninjas wore. It only covered his mouth while leaving his eyes out in the open. The hood was covering the top of his head, so he didn't go for a full-face mask and deemed it unnecessary. He gave out a sigh when he was finally allowed to pick up his loot. There was a special room for this. After entering, he saw a clerk working there. It was an older man, and there were 2 guards standing beside him. There were also another 2 standing right beside the entrance. They were probably there to catch anyone that would think about grabbing more coins than they were entitled to. Seller number 64. You have earned a total of 9 large silver coins and 2 small silver coins. With a commission of 25%, you were left with 6 large silver coins and 9 small ones. The man did a fast recounting while Roland nodded.
Oh my gosh.
He lost 2 large silvers and 3 small ones due to the auction house's fee. He wasn't mad though, as he understood that it was worth it. He quickly took the money that was laid before him and neatly packed in a small satchel. He nodded without answering and then quickly left. Unbeknownst to him, some people in the auction house took note of him as they were curious who the new craftsman in the city was that was able to make the highest common grade spell scrolls. Roland ran all the way back to the inn with haste. There were still many people out and about in the city, drinking late into the night. He had grown a bit since half a year ago, and with the added bonuses of his running and sprinting skills, he was going fast. At the inn there weren't that many people around. Everyone was mostly in bed as they needed to get things done in the morning. Back in his room, he collapsed on his straw mattress-filled bed. He couldn't really remember much past that as he woke up at 12 p.m. the next day, awoken to the church bells that sounded in the distance. He felt revitalized after the rest and ready to earn more cash. His plan was coming to fruition, and he had made the first step. Now he had to strike while the iron was hot. He needed more materials, and in due time better runic spells to practice on and then sell. Roland didn't know why, but it felt really good to manage on his own. He actually preferred working for himself, even though he was putting in more hours than a regular worker would. With the influx of new assets, he bought more resources, more ink, and more monster scrolls for the spells. He had redrawn this fire arrow spell so many times that he was now a master of it. It would probably take him a while to master another comparable one, so he decided to focus on the fire arrow spell for now. He had spent countless hours redrawing it, affixing the magical pathways into the correct forms. He had even used up all of his sketching paper and pencils to practice while being low on mana. This fire arrow was certainly something designed for a runesmith class. It was very draining on his mana reserves. If he wasn't blessed with a large pool of mana, he wouldn't be able to scribe more than 1 or 2 of these runic spells per day. When a person was drained of their mana, they would start feeling dizzy and sleepy. If your mana ever hit 0, you would get a splitting headache and sometimes even pass out. This had happened to him one of the days he was scribing. His devotion to the task at hand had caused him to suffer a backlash. He even received a debuff to his mana regeneration the next day, which halted his progress even further. Time passed again, and things were getting more interesting at the Libra auction house. Mr. Percival the Appraiser had a stack of brand new runic scrolls, all of them with the runic version of the fire arrow spell. This time around there were 3 at the highest grade, which made the man wonder if this runesmith master was improving by the day. There were always high and highest graded runic scrolls there. Word around the city spread, and the magic shops were slowly beginning to look into this new person that was slowly nudging himself into their territory. But just as Roland had speculated, they didn't feel threatened just yet. The number of products going around was just too small to affect these large stores that had other items to sell than spell scrolls. He didn't know if they would act in any way, but for now, he was left alone to his devices. The more the highest runes were added, the better the prices got. Roland was slowly regaining his lost fortune. He deposited 10 scrolls each every week while earning close to 1 small gold coin. Soon he was able to get a better quill, better paper, and was now even thinking of going to a more expensive inn that was further into the city. Things were looking quite good indeed, so good that he could now start thinking about the future once again and get back to his research. Another 3 months had passed in a flash. Roland was sitting in his tiny room with a complete stack of scrolls. 6 of them were at the highest grade, while 4 of them were at the high one. I've gotten good at this one spell, but I think I need to move on from it. Roland was slightly tired of redrawing the same sequence over and over again. He felt like a person at the assembly line doing the exact same task every day. He needed some variation in his life, and he knew just the thing to spice things up. He placed his created scrolls into his spatial bag and decided to get dressed. He left the inn and headed out of the city, doing it on foot. He was sure to leave early in the morning, giving himself more time till nightfall. This city was built into a large mountain, but that didn't mean that rocks were the only thing in the area. There actually was a large forest nearby where he was headed. Within 2 hours, he was at his destination. There should be some around here, there is one. Roland came to a stop and placed himself behind a tree. His stealth had leveled up from basic to the regular, but if he ever wanted to get it up to advanced, he would need a rogue class. He squatted down and reached into his storage bag. From it, he pulled out a crude-looking book. The pages of this book were tied together by thin string and pushed through small holes at the edges. It was barely holding together from how bad it looked. On the other side was quite the familiar creature that Roland was inching closer towards. Gigi. It was a goblin, but instead of being green, it was a lot paler. This was a variant that was called a mountain goblin. These creatures roamed the forest around the city, but they didn't venture towards it. They sometimes attacked carriages that went between cities, but that was a rare occurrence. The goblin didn't have much of a chance to react as a glowing red arrow shot right through its brain, melting it in the process. The person that produced this magical spell was Roland. He had his hand placed on the topmost page of his crude grimoire. He had made it from the lower and low-graded spell scrolls that he didn't want to sell. He had figured out one thing about his basic rune mastery skill. He could level it up by using either runic scrolls that he made or weapons that had runes engraved into them. These goblins didn't offer much in experience, but they were good enough for him to train his skills on them. The idea of using his stash of scrolls like a magic book just dawned on him once. The page that he used to activate his spell crumbled into dust soon after activation. This was the biggest weakness of this type of weapon. It had limited uses, but he could rapid fire with it without having to do any pesky incantations. Maybe if he faced the tier 2 fencer in battle again, he could actually do something about it by spamming these fire arrows his way. Even a tier 2 class would have a hard time evading so many tier 2 spells like the fire arrow spell. Roland took a glance at his stats and some of his skills that he was grinding. His most important ones were the ones concerning runes. He wasn't really using his mage class ones that much anymore. He even found these spell scrolls to be much more powerful than his regular spells. He focused on grinding the rune scribing skill, which meant that his regular mana scribing fell behind. He didn't care for that though, as the runes were the way to go for him. His rune mastery skill was also going up now, as he was finally using it as intended for battle. Besides his int, dex, and willpower, the rest of his stats weren't really going up. He even attributed the points he got to him getting older. He noticed that the common runes started being manageable after he achieved the 4th level of his scribing skill. Before he got it, he could barely create the lowest graded one. The higher the level of this skill, the less mana he burned through while crafting. Thankfully, he had a lot to spare even before that. The 2 skills he received from getting his mage class were also leveling up. He was constantly using his mana to shape the magic ink into the desired runic symbols. Luckily, this was enough for his mana shaping skill to level up along with the regulation skill that hastened his regeneration. He was able to regenerate all of his mana in a couple of hours. If he stayed really still and rested, it was even faster. Taking off his clothes also improved this task as he had more uncovered skin to absorb the mana energy. He was a level 10 scribe after more than half a year of work. He was already at the level cap of his previous class within the same time. Leveling up his second tier 1 class was proving to be more challenging. He also didn't manage to scribe down that many rune schematics as he was without coin. This would be changing soon. He wanted to start buying out all the runic spell scrolls that he could find within the city. They were much cheaper than runic weapons, so he would focus on them first. He checked the time. He had a couple of hours for training, so he decided to go into the forest while using his old tactics. There were fewer trees for him to hide, and they were mostly of the spiky variety. He still could use them for cover while remaining still and using his stealth. He also didn't need to use those pesky incantations anymore. Using these spell scrolls in this makeshift spellbook was a lot faster. He was already dreaming about making a magical runic staff for himself. If he continued to gain levels with his rune mastery skill while gaining more mana, using runic weapons could be feasible in the foreseeable future. While daydreaming about runic weapons, he went deeper into the forest. It was the middle of the day, so he had plenty of time to let loose. The fire arrows rained down on the unsuspecting goblins that didn't have any time to react. He ended each encounter with a headshot, and he wouldn't be surprised if he got some title for it if he continued. He noticed that he wasn't getting that much experience points for these monsters, and he attributed this to him being a crafting class. He was doing this to level up his runic mastery that would give him some XP anyway, so it was a fine exchange. His hunt was brought to a halt after he heard a high-pitched sound. It was a familiar screech of a goblin. It was near his location, but still far enough away for him not to worry. These mountain goblin variants were a lot stronger than the green ones you find in the kingdom's warmer areas. They were slightly taller, and their hides were tougher, and it was over if they managed to surround you. It was considered a bad idea to fight them, unless you were at least in your second tier 1 class, and in the latter parts of it. He wondered why the goblins were calling over their buddies. This was clearly a call for help, and soon a swarm of these little would rush into the area. The smart thing would be to back away for now, but he was close to where the shout originated. Luck was on his side, as there was a small cliff in that direction. If the goblins decided to run towards him, they would need to climb up a steep ledge, which would give him enough time to escape or even fire some magical spells at the climbing monsters. He remained at the ledge for the time being while trying to look to where the noises were coming from. He spotted someone coming his way, and it wasn't a goblin. This was someone he recognized from the inn he was staying at. It was a small girl, even shorter than him. This was the gnome girl that he bumped into the first day he came to town. She looked scared and was running away. Behind her, 5 mountain goblins with some crude-looking clubs and short swords were chasing after her. She had a dagger in her hand, which looked used as it was drenched in goblin blood. What the girl was doing in the woods was a mystery. She clearly wasn't strong enough to fight off these mountain goblins alone, which made things even more strange. She was coming his way, but below him was a ledge of about 20 meters. She would need to climb up all the way here to get to safety, and he didn't think the goblins would let her. He could already imagine the girl going up while getting pelted with rocks, sticks, and maybe even the short swords. He gave out a sigh while looking at his grimoire of fire arrow spells. He had enough to spare. He also had the high ground advantage. It would probably be easy to take care of these monsters, and he did come here to use up these failed products. I guess it's time to save a fair maiden in need? Wonder if I can get some kind of White Knight title for this. He thought to himself while taking aim, his hand on the makeshift spellbook. Helsie had come to these woods to level up. She was someone you called a late bloomer. The gnome girl was already past 16 years in her life, but she had just recently achieved her ascension class. The girl looked similar to a gnome, but she wasn't of pure descent. Her height was above what a normal gnome reached at 140 centimeters. Her figure was also quite voluptuous in regard to other gnome girls, but she mostly hid it well under baggy clothes or armor like today. She had fine features compared to others of her kind that mostly had rounder heads with larger eyes. Her hair was long and orange, and she had put it in a ponytail so that it wouldn't get in the way of her first hunt. She was an orphan. The whereabouts of her family were unknown as she was abandoned at a young age. She was left at one of the orphanages run by the Church of Solaria and spent most of her life there. She would do chores there, slowly learning how to cook, clean, and various other tasks. Even though the church was the ones producing the class change crystals, they wouldn't just give it to the orphans. The child had to decide if they wanted to live as an acolyte or abandon the church life by the age of 14. She had chosen to leave, getting a job at a few places throughout Edelgard and finally ending up at the inn where she was now employed. She had worked for 2 years saving up for herself and finally managed to get herself one of those elusive stones. She went through her ascension. The class that she was rewarded was a scout that boasted high agility and detection skills. This might have not been her chosen profession, but she was happy nevertheless. There was a slight problem though. The city she lived in had no nearby dungeon with easy monsters to practice on. She was able to register at the Adventurers Guild, but there was not much work for Tier 1 scouts that were still at the first level and had no battle experience. The notice board for Bronze Adventurers was filled with tasks similar to her current job. This was something she was trying to abandon as she was fed up with that sort of lifestyle. She was someone that was stubborn. She didn't want to ask for help from other adventurers. She also couldn't trust them, mostly the male adventurers that could try to take advantage of her. She finally decided to go into the nearby forest. The walk there took her 2 hours. She had spent the rest of her savings on a dagger and on cheap leather armor. This armor consisted of a chest piece and some wrist guards. The rest of her attire was simple cloth. She had never hunted a monster before in her life, but from what she heard, the goblins were quite easy to slay. To her knowledge, they weren't stronger than 10-year-old human children, which was giving her quite the confidence boost. Elsie wandered into the forest with the dagger in hand, going deeper and deeper without looking back. She was dead set on leveling up and starting her new life as an adventurer. The wind howled and the trees started rustling about, which caused her to be vigilant. Her class was a scout that gave her better vision than others. This class was also adept at hiding their presence while feeling out the area. Soon enough, she spotted her first target. It was a pale-looking goblin with a large wooden club in its hand. She was a gnome hybrid, so her size was slightly larger than this small monster. This placed her at an advantage, as she had the height advantage. After observing the monster for a moment, she noticed that it was quite lean and muscular. This didn't halt her advance. She was dead set on hunting this goblin. She gripped her dagger and started sneaking forward. She knew that the element of surprise was paramount. If she managed to land a backstab, she could probably deliver a killing. She moved forward while the monster was looking down at something. There were some large insects there that the goblin started stomping on. This gave her a chance to move forward while sneaking. The goblin was unaware of the small person sneaking up behind it. It switched to hitting the ground with its club while grinning. Suddenly, it heard something snap behind it, which put it on alert. The goblin turned around with haste to see a pointy-eared girl with a dagger rushing its way. It didn't have that much time to react, and it wasn't very skilled either. The goblin just swung its wooden weapon randomly in hopes of protecting itself. This was partially successful as it managed to deliver aid to Elsie's side. This caused her dagger to go off target and plunge itself into the monster's shoulder instead of its neck. The monster screamed out loud, the pain unbearable as it jumped back to get away. The small gnome girl panted hard. She needed some time to catch her breath as the wooden club had slammed into her side, causing some damage. The small goblin was a lot stronger than anticipated. Even though her armor held, she almost had her ribs broken. She didn't realize that the monster had called for its friends, so she continued. The enemy was wounded, and she just needed to finish it off. The goblin, with rage in its eyes, charged forward. It went into a berserk state and started swinging wide. The girl was slippery as an eel. The blows weren't reaching her, but she couldn't move forward either. The first had taken the wind out of her, and she was now hesitating. She had almost no combat experience, having only occasionally fought with the other orphans or drunkards in the city. Soon enough, more goblins started appearing, which finally forced her to turn around and run. She could barely handle one of these monsters. What could she do when 4 more appeared? So started her getaway. She was panting while running towards the city. The forest was unknown to her, and she was still just a level 1 scout. Her tracking skills weren't quite there, so she found herself running in a random direction. This was a mountainous area, and luck wasn't on her side as she found herself blocked by a high rocky wall. She looked to the sides as the road forward was blocked. She could hear the angry goblins running behind her, which caused her to panic, unable to decide. Should she try climbing this or try her luck by going sideways? There could be a better climbing spot further down. Before she could decide, one of the goblins jumped out at her. It didn't get far though, as something bright and red came whizzing from somewhere. It pierced the monster's head and stopped it in its tracks. One monster was dead and 4 more remained. "Hey, you alive down there?" She heard a voice from above, and she found it slightly familiar. She looked up and saw a person standing there. This person was wearing a black robe, and it was hard to make out his clothes. By the sound of the voice, she knew that it was someone younger, but still a man. "I'm fine, but there are more coming," she shouted out, while slightly relieved that there was another person here that was even willing to help. "I know. Wait a moment, I'll clear them out." This was when the massacre began. She could see more of those red flaming arrows being shot out. They made beautiful red arches and burrowed themselves into the goblins the moment they jumped out from the bushes. 5 spells and 5 goblins were dead. She looked at the charred corpses that were missing their heads. The smell was something that she wouldn't forget for quite some time. She spaced out for a moment before that person's voice brought her back to reality. "Why are you standing there? You need to leave. More goblins will be coming soon." "Oh, you should probably get the mana stone from that goblin there. The second one on the left before that. It's to the right of its heart," the person shouted while dropping down some rope. Elsie looked at the goblin in question and decided to follow the advice. To her surprise, a small mana stone was there. If she could sell it, she could probably earn a few small silvers. She didn't remain there for much longer. The girl was already scared as it was. She started climbing to get to safety. The ledge wasn't that steep, so she managed to do it in a couple of minutes. On top, she collapsed onto her knees while panting. Strength left her body due to having to run in a panic this far. "You okay there? Elsie, right?" She turned her head to the person that rescued her. This was apparently someone that knew her, but she was unsure from where. What she saw was a young human male about 160 centimeters in height pulling the rope up and placing it into a bag of holding. The wind moved his hood around, and she could finally make out his face. This was indeed someone that she knew, someone that lived at the inn that she worked at. Most people thought he was A. He always stayed locked in his room and would only leave to eat and rarely went outside.
My bad.
The innkeeper told her to not bother him, as he could be some kind of a cult member. He was always seen in a black robe covering his face and never talked to anyone or made any friends. He fired off some spells so he might
Yeah, I can help you out. I can help you out with that.
Or a warlock was a
and
person that
sorry,
made
I didn't
pact
see a
with
message
demon
until
or monster
now.
of some sort, so she was slightly concerned. Yes, I'm fine.
But yeah, once
she stood up. Her
when this
dagger was
party is
strapped
over,
to
I
her
can help
side.
you out with that.
She backed off a little bit as she was unsure about this person's motives. You didn't see many people helping others for no reason. This person was also someone she didn't know that well. This made her reserved. Keeping a distance was probably the correct thing to do now. See, there are already some new ones coming. The human in the robe pointed into the distance from where she came. More goblins started to appear, probably there to avenge their slain friends that were butchered. "We should leave. If an evolved variant appears, it won't be this easy," the youth said while turning his back to her. She was still a bit on the fence about following this unknown person. He was still someone from the city though, and the rumors were probably exaggerated. Behind her, she could hear the maddened shouts of the monsters that had found their murdered friends. It was time to get out of there. "Oh, wait for me. I'm coming." She ran after the human boy that was quite fast on his feet. She was someone that was adept at running, but even then she couldn't catch up to him. It didn't take long for them to reach the paved road that led into the city. The goblins would probably not chase them any further than this, so she felt relieved. She leaned over while panting, her hands to her knees. She made it out alive in one piece. She didn't expect these monsters to be this crafty. Even when she managed to stab the creature in the shoulder, it didn't do much damage. This was a total failure on her part, and she knew it. After resting a bit, she looked up. The human boy was staring at her. She felt weird. This person had helped her, but she had a hard time expressing her gratitude. Before she could open her mouth, he spoke out first. "What were you thinking? Have you never fought a goblin before? What level are you? If I wasn't close by, you would have been getting eaten at this moment." And another thing, the human youth had removed his hood and started berating her. He crossed his arms over one another and started listing the things that she had done wrong. He even started questioning her choice of equipment. She felt like she was being scolded by one of the older nuns from back in the church days. This boy looked younger than her, which made the whole thing even more degrading. "If you weren't close by, I had everything under control." She puffed up her cheeks along with her chest, her long eyebrows angling inwards. She was mad, Her plan of being an adventurer didn't work out as intended, and now she was getting lectured by some snotty kid. He might have been some kind of magician, but he was still a child in her eyes. That's right, I was just luring them into a trap, you idiot. Then you appeared and ruined my plan. Who needed your help? I was fine on my own. She moved her head to the side while harumphing loudly. The youth that was reprimanding her stopped talking while astonishment covered his face. He watched as Halsey stubbornly turned her head to the side while biting her lower lip. While trying to act tough and not facing the person that rescued her, she started walking. She could slightly see the youth's face contorting into odd shapes. He was probably baffled by her reaction, which made her feel bad. She was never good at apologizing for her wrongdoings, and even worse at thanking people that had helped her. The two didn't talk much after her outburst. They kept a distance of a few meters from each other. The gnome girl wanted to apologize, but each time she saw the youth's face, she felt indignation as if he was looking down on her for failing. They finally separated at the city entrance and both went their own way. There was a tiny problem though. Halsey had forgotten that the youth that she didn't know the name of was staying at the inn she was working at. She was also a worker that lived there, so they almost immediately bumped back into each other. She kept her distance as he was eating his supper. Both had spent most of their day walking back and forth and adventuring in the forest, so it was already close to 7. The world here also had a 24-hour day cycle, but there were 13 months on the calendar instead of 12. Halsey felt a bit bad about not having thanked him yet. She made a fist with her hand and brought it to her chest while clutching it. She had made a decision. She grabbed one of the better-looking sausages from the pantry. Her plan unfolded as she used the busy hours to sneak over to the robed stranger. She placed the nicely prepared meat sausage along with a plate on his table, her mouth moving fast as she talked. "H here. I found this just lying there. Thought you might want one." The youth looked at the item presented to him with a raised eyebrow, then back to the smaller half-gnome girl that was presenting it to him. Another bout of uncomfortable silence unfolded, which caused the girl to have another outburst. "Just take it already. What are you taking so long? Not like I brought it over to thank you for helping me or anything. Idiot." She slammed the table with both her hands, which made the whole thing shake. She then stormed off back into the kitchen. Some of the patrons noticed the exchange and even gave the half-gnome a whistle. Roland, who was still looking at the sausage that was given to him, seemingly free of charge, was quite surprised. He didn't think these types of people existed in real life. He grabbed the sausage and gave it a taste. He couldn't just waste good food. In the back of his mind, he was slightly amused by the way the girl acted. It was quite similar to how some popular characters in various works of fiction conducted themselves. He could even see her trying to sneak a peek from the corner, probably wanting to see if he was eating the gift that she prepared. He also needed to talk to the girl later. She was obviously unfit to wander into those dangerous woods. As an adult, it was hard to not worry about someone that acted this much as a little brat. He would later try talking to her again, but after she had cooled off, as it seemed that she was still slightly irritated. But this would have to wait for now, as he had a really big sausage to devour now. Roland was back in his room. The day had been a strange one. He went out to test his spell scroll slinging abilities on some goblins. But what he found, there was a young girl almost getting herself killed. He didn't want to pry too much into her business, and she didn't react kindly when he started reprimanding her. The other peculiar thing was how she acted. The whole encounter made him think that he was stuck in some kind of game world, as he didn't think people like that existed. She had multiple emotional outbursts towards him, while on the other hand acted all grateful and even shy while bringing over some food. Well, she might just be bipolar. Should I stay clear of her? He thought, but maybe he was reading too much into her character traits there. There were all sorts of people in this world. He had managed to get a free sausage as a reward, so it was worth it. He was now stuffed and back in his room. He would scribe one more fire arrow spell before going to bed. Tomorrow would be the day when he would finally go on a spending spree. He needed to buy out as many runic spell scrolls as possible. He could then start creating schematics for them to quickly gain levels. The more levels and the better stats he achieved, the faster he would become at creating his wares. He was also hopeful that in the future the Libra auction house would drop their percentages. Losing 25% after they got their cut was a bit much. He wasn't sure if the regular stores charged others as much for their wares. He used his usual disguise that made him look like a little warlock in training. The place he was visiting first was the same one he got the runic fire arrow spell from. It was the store that was called Exier's Magic Emporium. He stepped forward. The doors opened by themselves with the help of some kind of enchantment. He wanted to examine this door. Maybe it also operated on some runes, and he would be able to add another one to his collection. There weren't that many people in here, and he didn't really come here often. The general store that was closer to his inn had all the necessary items. He was also concerned that if he came here too often, his disguise as the person selling the runic scrolls would fall through. The elven girl by the name Ziliana was still here acting as the main salesperson. He just moved over to the display case with the runic spells. They were all still there, even though there weren't many he could use them for research. They looked dusty as before, and even though he was able to make some profit on them, the other crafters didn't seem to be able to. He had a bit of an advantage over other people. He could just take their work and improve upon it. Even if the person made the lowest of low runic spells, he could turn it into the highest one in a matter of hours. The common grade runic spells were a bit harder to correct. They used a lot more runes, and even their schematics were double their size. This was also why he needed more time to scribe them down, and why it took him half a year to get the crafting process down to near perfection. This was also just for one rune. If he tried completing a totally new one, it could take him just as long. He looked to the elf lady, motioning her over as he wanted to buy a couple of these scrolls. She smiled at him and went over. He wasn't sure if she was doing it on purpose, but her hips were swinging side to side in an alluring way. The high heels she was wearing were making clicking sounds against the wooden floor panels when she moved forward. What will it be, dear customer? I see that you have decided I'd like to buy this runic orb of light spell scroll and this runic aqua ball spell scroll. Also this frostbolt one. He started listing them off. He wasn't sure if he had enough money for all of them. They would be great for his future research, as he was itching to start fiddling with the runic components. He had already listed down all the parts into his notes, and now he just needed some time to experiment. You want to buy the runic spell scrolls? HM, wait a moment, I'll be right back. The elf replied and walked away. This was an unexpected reaction. He started wondering if there was something wrong. Normally they would just hand over the goods, take the coins, and it would be over. Maybe she had more scrolls in the back, and she didn't want to move these dusty ones. He remained in the store and waited. He even saw the elf go up the stairs, the same ones that he had used before. Are the scrolls stored up there? He wasn't sure what this was about, but he just waited. He needed these spell scrolls, as without them he wouldn't be able to progress. He needed more samples to work with. The number of rune schematics he possessed wasn't that high, and only one was good for earning money. After about 5 minutes, the elf finally descended from the stairs and started walking back towards him. She wasn't carrying any scrolls with her, so Roland's first assumption was wrong. Excuse me, I've made you wait. It's fine, can I get these scrolls then? He asked, as he didn't want to waste any more time here. He still wanted to see if he could get some better materials for his work. I have to apologize, but that won't be possible. Excuse me? He was baffled by the answer. Was there something wrong with him buying these? Did someone figure out a scheme and that he could make schematics of already completed runic symbols? His mind spun into conspiracy theory territory as he started sweating. Oh, don't worry, it's not like that. The manager would just like to speak with you. The manager? The image of a gnome working with some large beakers popped into his head. Yes, he wishes to discuss some business opportunities. I'm sure he will allow the purchase of these scrolls after that business opportunities. The elf girl just smiled without explaining herself. Roland tried deducting the answer in his mind, and the only thing coming to mind was that he was found out. They didn't want to sell him the runic spells, and they wanted to talk business. If this wasn't about him going to the auction house, then he would eat a shoe. He had two options: leaving and trying another shop. This wasn't the only one with these unused runic spells. The other one was to head up and see what this person wanted from him. If he just left, then he would be left uninformed about this manager's motives. Roland had decided to go and see him. He didn't think that he was in any danger, as this man wasn't a warrior but an alchemist. He was also a store owner, so he probably did just want to throw a business proposition his way. He could always decline and move on with his life. Leaving the city if things got complicated was also an option. Okay, lead the way. He nodded while the golden-haired elf smiled. He was soon before the same door as half a year ago. Not much had changed there. The person inside still looked the same. The alchemist equipment might have increased with a few pitchers and beakers here and there, though. The door closed behind him after the elf woman had left. He was now left alone with the store's manager. If he was also the owner of it was unknown to him. He remained standing and looked around. Besides the alchemist utensils, there was also a furnace to the side. He wondered why something like that was here, right next to a bunch of chemicals and flammable books that were standing on a nearby bookshelf. Then he remembered that this world probably didn't have anyone to check the safety measures of stores. Runic fire arrows, eh? Huh? He could hear the gnome finally speak up. He had a higher-pitched voice than a human and was a lot shorter. Roland compared the man's height to the other gnomes he had seen around the city, and he was a bit on the taller side, close to 120 centimeters. What about runic fire arrows? He replied, playing dumb as he didn't know if he had been really found out or just being tested. The older man stopped doing what he was and finally stepped out from behind the alchemist setup he was working on. He had a grumpy expression on his face. Roland could finally get a good look at him. The man had a full beard that was gray and was wearing some kind of turban on top of his head. His ears were pointy and long, not as long as an elf's though. He had quite a large nose with a large wart on the left nostril. His clothes consisted of a baggy robe that was tied to him with a brown leather belt. Kid, don't insult my intelligence. Did you really think no one would notice your antics? I've got to give it to you. You have a lot of talent if you can produce spells of that quality and all at such a young age. He moved forward while talking, heading over to another desk that was in the corner. It had a large chair behind it, probably so that he could see over it as it looked to be human-sized. He sat himself down and then took out a wooden pipe. Smoke soon flowed out from his nostrils. Roland was a bit worried that he was exposed. He had disguised himself and even said that he was working for someone else when he was selling his wares. Maybe if he played dumb, he could still evade suspicion. I was just hired to deliver the scrolls there. The gnome just raised his eyebrow as if he was looking at an idiot. He scuffed some while blowing out some smoke Roland's way. You sure are persistent with your little story. If you wanted to hide, you shouldn't have stuck out like a vampire in the sun. Listen here, your secret is out. I could give a Mallarats about the reason you were using that stupid disguise. I am here to talk about money. Roland just remained in place and continued to listen. At this point, he already figured that there was no way of talking himself out of this. This known person probably had informants at the auction house that tipped him off. He could have even been followed by someone that was good at hiding. He as a mage class was not really good at detecting trouble, so people could easily sneak upon him. You've got talent, kid, but even more important than that is that class and work ethic. That class? The gnome smiled at him while removing the pipe from his mouth as he explained further. You are still green, kid. Do you think you can hide your special class from anyone without an enchantment to block out the identification skill? The gnome's eyes shone blue for a split second as he looked at Roland. Level 10 already? Not bad. You have a bright future ahead of you if you continue working hard. Roland took a step back while digesting this information. This person had a high identification skill, and he could read him as an open book. His runic mana scribe class had been revealed to him, and he couldn't even do anything about it. You saw my class back then? That's right. I have a very good memory. You know us intelligence types. Then someone started selling runic spell scrolls. Now, why would any respectable runesmith sell crummy spell scrolls? Maybe it was a runic mana scribe instead. The way this man had figured him out was revealed. It was all mostly thanks to one skill. All of the work that went into his disguise had been for nothing as he was exposed right from the beginning. What the old man wanted from him was still up to debate. That's just. He slumped a bit forward in defeat. His thought he had it all figured out, but apparently he was just deluding himself. Now, I'm not here to blackmail you or anything, so just relax and take a seat. We have a lot to talk about. Roland just sat down in defeat. There was no reason to deny it anymore. What do you want? Not much. I want you to work with me. I'm not signing one of those ludicrous contracts. Roland was quick to reply. He still wasn't willing to get himself stuck working for 6 years in one spot. He would rather leave the city and try elsewhere. He had made enough to relocate. Those contracts are for talentless hacks. You could have a future. This is how I see it. I'll supply you with the location where you can develop your craft. I'll even lower the price for the materials. The man started talking business. He wanted to sponsor Roland. He would give him his own place where he could do his rune crafting. The contract he was offering was a lot less strenuous than the one he saw half a year ago. He wouldn't need to share any of his secrets. He would only be required to continue crafting like he already did. This store would take care of the selling part. Their commission was also lower than at the auction house at 15%. This contract looks a bit one-sided. Why are you willing to give me so much freedom? It looked a bit fishy. The only binding thing here was that he could only sell his wares to the store. He could freely craft for himself and give them away for free if he wanted. There was even a clause that he was allowed to sell it at a cheaper price for a couple of people of his choosing, and he could also negotiate for it. The period of this contract was also shorter, just 3 years, after which he was up for renegotiating or just leaving outright. That's an easy answer. You show a lot of promise. There aren't many people at your age that have such a high level. You probably don't realize how rare unique classes like yours are. I am willing to invest in your talent. I don't think that it's a bad deal. The man smiled while already having the contract ready. Roland only needed to sign on the dotted line, and it would be finalized. The punishment for breaking the contract was a slightly lesser curse that would only remove his mana by 30%. It also didn't take into effect instantly if he broke one rule, and he could work it out with the boss to evade it. It was actually a good contract for someone with no backing and no influence like him. He could work and sell his items while not having to worry about the price margin. The auction house buyers were sometimes stingy with their purchases. He would also get his own place to tinker about, probably one of the rooms in this large building. This contract could even extend to when he advanced to a blacksmith. It was easy to scribe spell scrolls, but he would need a fully equipped smithy to get anything done as a blacksmith. The contract stated that the company he was signing with was required to present him with facilities for his craft. It wasn't limited to his runic mana scribe profession either. I see that you have made your research. It would probably be unwise for me to refuse. He replied while looking at the old man that was wiggling the contract before him. The gnome also warned him about the other stores. Apparently not everyone was as lenient as he was. Others might want to crush him instead of recruiting. It would be easy to pull some strings and have him banned from the auction houses in Edelgard. In this city, there existed something like a council. Their members were the most influential businessmen in the city, merchants, store owners, owners of large smithing shops, and other various businesses. They gathered every 3 months for discussions. If an upstart appeared, they would first try to get them over to their side. If they resisted, they would be crushed. Roland was flying under the radar for now, but as soon as he tried creating his own company, the council would come on knocking. The gnome here was part of it, so he could put him under his protective umbrella and shield him from any future woes. Roland moved his head down and thought. The deal wasn't that bad, and he was still young. The contract was only 3 years, so he would have a lot of leeway when he improved later on. He also didn't know how long he would have to keep this up until he would actually have enough money to buy his own workshop. Let me think about it. Could I get a copy of this contract and read it over? The old gnome didn't have a reason to refuse, and Roland left. He would read through the contract again and come up with a few modifications, like being allowed to keep his own brand symbol of the small red comet along with having his identity hidden. In the end, he would agree to it. His life of crafting had only begun with this step. Sign here on the dotted line. Is my name enough? Yeah, that's fine. The contract mostly just reacts to your mana and not your actual name. Roland wrote his name into the contract that went through some changes. He managed to get the gnome to agree to keep his true identity a secret. He also didn't mention that he was from a noble house. The most important clause, though, was the one stating that the gnome couldn't undersell his work. There was a minimal price negotiated while taking into account what the scrolls were selling in the auction. Any other items he created would be negotiated further, but he didn't feel like the gnome was trying to rip him off. At least not too much. He still wanted to make a profit. He wouldn't be surprised if they knew that. How far the gnome's identification skill was able to peak was unknown. He himself could only use it on certain items, and he would mostly just get the general name. He couldn't analyze people well either. If he looked at Ziliana, the only info he got was that she was a sun elf. This was the default elven race around.
If you still need help
Besides
with
sun
that,
elves, there were also
party
moon
ended.
elves that were similar looking to
Do you
dark
still need
elves
help?
from most stories. For
I don't know
one
if you're,
reason or another, these
still
two
around.
races didn't get along with each other. The woman rolled up the contract after it was finalized. He had finally accepted the offer, and his life as a contract worker had begun. Luckily, he didn't really have to make that many scrolls, and should be able to do his research as well. He was even going to receive a personal assistant if he did well. He was led down into the basement. He didn't occupy any of the rooms closer to the manager's room. The place he received was a bit dim and had a very dungeon-like vibe to it. He had gone through some dungeon training against goblins, so he was fine with places like this. We weren't really using this one. That's why it's a bit dirty, Ziliana said while opening the door and showing Roland in. There wasn't much inside this room. Some empty boxes in the corner along with a wooden table and some chairs. The cleaning lady would come soon, and some furniture would be carried over as well. Here is the key. Don't lose it. He was handed the key. He would be able to come to this place whenever he wanted and even work through the nights.
Wait, what the heck?
The gnome manager knew that some craftsmen liked to work hard. A bed would be supplied for him. Roland was thinking about moving from the inn here. He didn't need to pay for rent, but the air was kind of stale. You can start working tomorrow. Welcome to Exier's Magic Emporium staff. You can call me Big Sis from now on. The elf struck a pose by placing her hands to her hips while looking at Roland. He just looked back with narrowed eyes while replying. All right. He almost forgot that he was an 11-year-old kid, which had its pros and cons. Roland also asked if the manager was the owner of this store and if the store was named after him. It was revealed that he was only someone akin to a regional manager of a larger company. It had a lot of chain stores strung throughout the city, and the main one was in the capital city. When he asked the elf about the gnome's full name, she just smiled at him without revealing it. Roland was getting the facilities and the basic materials. He wouldn't be getting the research materials, though. That was on him. He returned to the first floor and bought out every single runic spell that he could. With the contract in place, he felt like he could invest in his future more. He didn't inform his new boss about his unique skill. Even if the gnome saw his status screen, the name Debugger probably didn't ring a bell. He got some new spells that did various things. The Orb of Light spell felt similar to his Fire Orb spell, as it just produced a light of a different color. He made sure to find spells that worked similarly. So if he already figured out how to produce the Fire Arrow spell, he wanted to get his hands on a Water Arrow spell or an Earth Arrow spell.
It's
He could
almost
then
12
compare the
o'clock, so I'm
schematics
probably
and
about
see
to
if
head
the
out.
parts or runes were similar.
I'm probably
This
going to
store
end the
had a
stream
limited
and
variety of these
log out
spells.
the game.
This
Do you
forced
need
him to
help
search
with
them
anything at
elsewhere.
all?
Luckily, the manager had supplied him with an armband that would hide his status. He would seem like an ordinary mana scribe to everyone else. After a day of searching, he had managed to find a couple of elemental variations of the Mana Bolt spell and the Mana Arrow spells. Surprisingly, there were none of the basic lesser runes of those two spells. Probably the runesmiths creating these deemed those two spells below them. He returned to the inn after a full day of running around town. The energetic half-gnome girl was running around the inn again. He was glad that she was still alive. He was slightly worried that she might have wandered into the woods again. He hoped that she had learned her lesson, but he didn't really have the time to be her nanny. She had to make her own decisions. The next day, Roland returned to the store. His office was now filled with some boxes that had blank scrolls in them. There were a couple of higher quality inkwells that were supplied and some sketching paper as well. He brought some of his own crafting utensils from the inn, as he was already used to the quill he was using. He closed the door behind him and walked around the place before taking a seat at his new desk. Well, time to get to work. This was still his job, so he decided to perform his main task of scribing by recreating his staple runic Fire Arrow spell. He was able to scribe it down within an hour and had enough mana left to make another one. The contract stated that he was to make a minimum of 10 common grade spell scrolls a week. He was of course allowed to make more of it and would get a bonus accordingly. Roland wasn't only interested in the money though, he wanted to progress, increase his levels, and also to find out how these runes operated. The problem was that to progress, he needed money and lots of it. He managed to get a temporary sponsor, but it was on him if he proved himself as a sound investor. He brought out a scroll that he had bought. It had the runic Frost Arrow spell on it. He also had a runic Gale Arrow scroll. He took out a pencil and some paper and activated his debugging skill. He received 2,000 XP for each schematic.
My YouTube channel.
He had also tried making schematics of lower grades to see if he could stack more experience.
So
he made an intermediate one of a common rune for 1,000 XP.
Bit of,
when he went for the perfected one, he was rewarded with
one of the
another
games
1,000.
that I'm recording for
The
my
trick
channel.
didn't work. There was some kind of cap on gaining
So
experience
if you
from
know, if you
making
want to
schematics.
stop by
He had
and
spent
check
his
it out
first
tomorrow,
working days scribing the
and so
minimal
instead
number
of-
of runic scrolls while
instead of
using the rest of his time on creating schematics
World
of
of
the various
Warcraft,
runic spells
like
that he
early
got
in the
from
day,
the
I
other
probably
stores.
might do,
They were mostly of the
stream
common
Forever
grade, which
Sky
caused him to level up faster.
to do,
He
you know,
wanted to
record
stick all
that
of the
for
made schematics to a wooden notice board so that
for
he
my
could look
channel.
at them while doing
So if
his
you want
research.
to, stop by
He
and check that
abandoned
out.
this notion as he didn't want to leave a board
So I'm
with
gonna head out for the
multiple
night.
highest
Thank you
graded
so
rune
much.
schematics
I hope you
out
have a
in
good
the
night,
field.
Armadeus.
This would give away his
Peace.
secrets right from the get-go. He was sure to include a clause in the contract that there wouldn't be any spying devices or people watching over his room.
And
Still, he didn't know if those contracts were
I'd appreciate
100%
that.
safe, so he would keep those schematics